two mentioned, battle of tactics and speed. The race where you have to ride forwards while looking backwards if you're the leading rider, as Gleitster is here. You often see the riders attempt to come to a standstill. We saw one earlier in one of the rounds this morning to try and persuade the rider in position 2 to come through and take the lead. Generally, they will try and avoid that option to leave the pressure on the rider at the front. Gleitz has already shown the pace that he brings to the sprint competition in the beating of Carlin this morning. But his opponent now in the European champion jersey, Jeffrey Hoogland, and the world champion, Matthew Gleitzer. Well, Hoogland electing to use the height of the banking. Gleitzer not yet inside that sprinter's line either. Who's going to be first to get there? Gleitzer still looking at Hoogland. Now he's going to dive for that sprinter's line. Will he get there first? Yes, he does. So Gleitzer inside the red line. Now Hoogland's going to come around the outside. Hoogland, the European champion, draws level with Gleitzer as they come into the finishing straight. This is going to be close on the line, but as they come through, it is the world champion, Matthew Gleitzer, who secures victory in match number 1 for Australia. And Hoogland will need to rethink those tactics when it comes to match number 2. Gleitzer takes the early lead, outpacing Hoogland to the line. You can see the tactical battle in the early laps and the speed, despite Hoogland's best efforts to come around the outside here. Almost made it, but the shorter line, which is the benefit of the rider inside that red sprinter's line, benefited Gleitzer, and he took victory in that one to go 1 up against Jeffrey Hoogland. Well, we'll return to that action a little bit later. Best of 3, of course. As I mentioned in our introduction earlier this afternoon, we have a mix of live action and 1 or 2 moments to look back on the action we've seen over the first 2 days of this competition. But the next action on the track is definitely live. In fact, it is the women's Omnium, and we've reached the 3rd element of the women's Omnium competition. They've already completed the opening scratch race and the tempo race during the course of this morning's session. And now they'll be lining up for the elimination race, the penultimate phase of the women's Omnium before it goes into the deciding discipline, which of course is the points race. Again, you'll see that live here with us this afternoon. Riders coming out onto trackside now to get ready for the start of this elimination race. It's always a very popular race with the crowd. Maybe not quite so with the riders sometimes, but the crowd love the battle to try and not be the last rider across the line. That's what the elimination is all about. The race gets underway. Every couple of laps you will hear the bell ring, and the following lap, the last rider across the line will be eliminated. Going into this Omnium, it's a slender advantage for the current world champion, Kirsten Wild, multiple world champion, both road and track rider, equally accomplished Kirsten Wild. We saw her ride to a great win in the Prudential Ride London Classic race on the streets of London earlier this year on the road, but now her focus very much on the track. And of course, these World Cups, 6 rounds of them this year, beginning with this first round. The first time Quentin has hosted a World Cup. It's a relatively short history since the Velodrome opened back in 2014. We then move next week to Canada, to Milton in Canada for round 2. Round 3 takes us to Berlin in Germany. And the final weekend in November. Then it's to London in Great Britain from the 14th through to the 16th of December before we break for Christmas. And then the final 2 rounds, Cambridge in New Zealand and Hong Kong, China. And that will bring to an end the World Cup just a few weeks away from the World Championships, which will take place in Poland in 2019. So these World Cups, as well as being full-on action for the medals that the riders will take away at the end of each of these disciplines, also valuable qualification points towards securing a place on your team's roster for those all-important World Championships. And of course, we're well into the next Olympic cycle as well, and of course the next Olympics taking place in Japan and Tokyo, and then in 2024 they come to Paris here in France, and Saint-Quentin Yvelines Velodrome, which was built initially for Paris's bid for the Olympics, which eventually went to London back in 2012, will finally get its Olympic moment of glory when it will host the track cycling for the 2024 Olympic Games. So the riders split neatly into 2 halves here, half the field starting at the bottom of the track, half at the top. They're starting lined up in the order of the Omnium standings. And you can see at the top of the track there, Kirsten Wild, the Dutch rider, who is the world champion for the Omnium. Just behind her is the Evans of Great Britain. The Evans, second place, silver medal in the Madison here last night with her partner. You see the little device being attached to the handlebars of the bike here. And, if you're wondering what that is, the flashing light will indicate to the rider when they have been eliminated. Hard that may be to believe, even though our venue commentators here will shout out the name of the rider who's eliminated. The scoreboard shows it, the lap counters show the number as well. But when you're in the blue haze of competition, occasionally you can miss that. So the rider will also see that red flashing light to indicate it's their moment of doom and they have been eliminated from the elimination race. Just a bit of last-minute zip tieage there for the Belarus team to ensure that they're all good to go. The rider there from Belarus, Siina Savenka. She's lying fourth in the Omnium standings at the moment with 64 points scored. You get essentially 40 points for victory in each of the phases of the Omnium competition, the scratch race, the tempo race and the elimination race. And the aggregate of those points, problems here, first rider failed to leave the line. So the race won't be started yet. Our starter won't be firing the gun just yet. Little problem for the rider on the line. I think we'll try and roll her into the action perhaps next time round, so she can join the main field and the race will be started. As I was saying before, that momentary sidestep to examine the fate of the rider who failed to take the start. She is just rolling away. And it was number 94 there who just had that little problem on the line. But she's rolling now, so it won't be too long before the race is underway. There's Anita Stenberg of Norway. So she'll be caught now by the main field, and they'll be all together just about ready to get the race underway. The starter's gun is held aloft, ready to signal the start of this women's Omnium. So the 40 points for victory in each of the first 3 phases of competition are then carried forward as your starting score in the final points race. And of course then it is all about the points scored in each of the sprints in that points race. Coupled of course with lap gains as well, which will determine our overall Omnium winner. So Kirsten Wild, the world champion, on the front of that bench there, but our attention will be very much focused on the back of the field this time. The first elimination is on the line this time. Let's see who's living dangerously. Well, the rider who is trying to stay in contention is Quentin Yang from Hong Kong, China. And it looks like she has been the first to be eliminated. Indeed confirmed. So an early exit from the elimination race from Quentin Yang of Hong Kong, China. Next bell. So it's every other lap we get to the elimination. Provides a little bit of time to compose themselves, ready for the next battle. Of course, it does you good to be near the front on this race. See 1 or 2 riders trying to play the game of chess at the back and just try and maybe eliminate another rider by drifting backwards and then just sneaking through at the last moment. That's a dangerous game to play, and we've seen riders come to grief with that tactic on many occasions. Here is Liu with number 41 on her back, just making sure she's not at the back of the string this time. She's representing one of our trade teams here. Along with national teams, we have the opportunity for riders also to compete as part of a team, and she is riding for the team of Singapore. Waiting for confirmation of the next elimination. Looks like it might be the Czech Republic who came off worst in that one. Indeed it is confirmed that number 10, Kamila Manchakova of the Czech Republic is next to go. And you can see a further confirmation of the rider eliminated, apart from the flashing lights and the name being called on the scoreboard, is the holding up the flag of the country as well, to just doubly ensure that the rider is aware that they have been eliminated. The Evans of Great Britain towards the back. As I mentioned, silver medal already for in the women's Madison here last night. Great Britain team have been picking up quite a few silver medals along the way so far. Evans riding well here, and his third place overall in the Omnium standings, 66 points to her score so far. But it looks as though our next rider to go is number 46 from the Ukraine. So Anna Narina of Ukraine is next to go. A sizable number of riders here. And you can see Kirsten Wild, the world champion, making sure she stays towards the front of that racing group. Can't be eliminated when you're at the front. Well, as though our next rider to go might be the Belgian. And we're focusing on the rider from Belarus there, but in fact is number 5, who has been confirmed as a rider eliminated, Annelies Dom of Belgium. And those light blue colours. From China at the head of the race here, Charlie Yu. But it's the back once again that is the focus of our attention this time. It looks as though the rider at the top of the track, who we preempted the departure of with our camera shot last time, may well be going this time, Ina Savenka. Ina Savenka of Belarus, well, that's significant. She's 4th in the standings with 64 points, but an early exit from the elimination race will do her Omnium potential favours at the moment. It's right, a strong point race. So the field through the line once more. Looks like the rider from Ireland just survived that one, because the rider who will go, see how close that is, and it was the rider at the bottom of the track, number 44, Albita Bakchikova of Slovakia, who was the rider eliminated. And it really does need a very carefully focused eye from our judges here to determine which of the riders' back wheels is the last to cross that line. Again, elimination time, and the rider who made the delayed departure from the start line is making a relatively early exit from the race. It is Anita Stenberg of Norway, next to be eliminated in her 15th place, for what it's worth, in the Omnium phase. Emily Diedrichsen, still well placed there, as a former world road champion, and winner here of the Madison last night for Denmark, along with her teammate Judith Neff. She was very pleased with them, had a quick chance to interview her at the end of that Madison. And Diedrichsen, well, she's definitely a rider you need to keep an eye out for in a race like this. But going from the back is Verena Eberhardt, our next rider to go. Number 3, Eberhardt, riding for Austria. Chinese rider who you saw at the front of the race a few laps ago, now finds herself at the back. Wild is further back than perhaps she'd like as well. First time we've seen her so far behind. She's in the danger zone, is Wild. Surviving that one, it's the rider from China who will be eliminated. Charlie Liu, the ominous red flashing light on the handlebars. But little scare there for Wild, and she's decided to move up a little bit here. Kirsten Wild, I don't blame her, because that was a little too close to comfort for the rider who leads the Omnium standings, of course, the world champion. Well placed also at the moment, Pascal Jouland of France. Of course, great encouragement from the home team and the home crowd here in Saint-Quentin and Yvelines. And it's goodbye to New Zealand this time, I think. Just waiting for confirmation. Little look back at that. Well, not too much doubt about that one. If the rider has not departed when called, the race will be utilised until such time as they do. Meanwhile, though, Eliminations continue, and we are focusing on the Swiss rider there at the back of the line. She's just sneaking up here and leaving the rider from Ireland in the hot seat. This is Shannon McCurley. Shannon's been riding well in this Omnium. And it will be a French elimination, I fear. Flashing light for Pascal Jouland. Well, I mentioned she was well placed a few laps ago, but that's how quickly you can find yourself going from the front to the back. And Curley of Ireland has survived that one. The bell once again, signaling we won't be too far away from the next elimination. The Evans of Great Britain, who hails from Scotland, came relatively late to track cycling, been a time trial champion on the road, but she really has staked her place in the Great Britain team. Some good performances. And this time it is the departure of Shannon McCurley of Ireland. Number 26. So the field thinning down now. And just moving up there for Australia is Christina Clonan alongside the shoulder of Kirsty Wild. So seeing a couple more riders in the danger zone here as we come to the next elimination. And looks like Spain may well have come off worse that time. Indeed, elimination for Ana Isabiaga of Spain. She will take 10th slot the result of this elimination race, which means we have 9 riders left on the track. And there are, so my maths is working well. Well, the New Zealand rider we saw at the back earlier still going, so obviously that was not judged to have been an elimination. It's Raquel Sheath of New Zealand. And that looks like goodbye to the former world road champion Amelie Didriksen, the Madison gold medalist here yesterday. Didriksen has departed from the race as well, securing 9th spot. And of course, the points at the end of this one, plus the preceding 2 elements, will be carried forward to the start of the final event of the women's Omnium, the points race. Nia Evans still well placed here for Great Britain. Kirsten Wild, the world champion, alongside her. Sheath of New Zealand, Clonan of Australia, Virginia Augustinas of Russia, just sneaking up there and leaving behind the rider who will go that time is Livia Balasaita of Lithuania, number 30. Oh no, she says. Flashing light, just what you don't want to see. And the Lithuanian flag just to confirm as well. Well, the field thinned out considerably now. Riders beginning to get the opportunity to look around now and see who is perhaps not quite where they need to be. One who has been hovering quite notably at the back is Letizia Paternoster of Italy. She's vying with the Swiss competitor here, Andrea Waldis, to avoid elimination, and it's Waldis who will go for Switzerland, notching 7th place in the elimination. So still Australia, still the Netherlands, still Great Britain, still New Zealand, still Russia, and still Italy remain of the 6 riders left on the track now. Eliminations will continue down to the final 2 riders, and they will then sprint it out for the overall victory. And of course, the 40 points that will go into the Omnium scoring. Well, just a small advantage going into this elimination. Once again, she is second and from last, but second and last is absolutely fine. Last, not so much, and that is elimination for Raquel Sheath of New Zealand. So she will finish 6th in the elimination. Nia Evans just looking behind. Letizia Paternoster is a rider immediately behind her. Just behind her is Augustinas of the Russian Federation. Kirsten Wild comes to the front, followed by the Russian. Then it's Australia, Great Britain, and Italy. So Paternoster has been at the back several times, has managed to get through. She's going to leave Nia Evans off the back. Yes, she is. Nia Evans looks like she has gone that time for Great Britain. You saw that tactic from Paternoster. as they came into the finishing straight. She was behind Evans, but she just slipped through. Evans was looking down towards the bottom. Paternoster came over the top, and Evans found herself the last rider in the line. So she goes as well, down to the final four. Kirsten Wild of the Netherlands, Letizia Paternoster of Italy, Christina Klonen of Australia, and Evgeny Augustinus of the Russian Federation. It's Augustinus on the front now with Paternoster second wheel, Wild in third. The gap has opened here. This looks like Klonen of Australia has self-selected her departure on the line this time. Well, that's an easy one for the judges. Country mile between her and the other three riders. So Christina Klonen goes for Australia. That leaves Wild, Paternoster and Augustinus to battle this one out. One more rider to be eliminated. Almost takes on sprint competition tactics in the final few laps here, with the reduced number of riders on the track. Paternoster leading out, Wild on the wheel. And that will mean that Augustinus will have to try and fight her way back here. She's closed the gap to the rear wheel of Kirsten Wild. Paternoster still with the lead. Wild, though, has got a sufficient gap. And it is the departure of Virginia Augustinus of Russia, leaving Kirsten Wild and Letizia Paternoster. Well, Kirsten Wild went into this elimination race as the leader of the Omnium. And, should be a favourite here to take out the sprint with Paternoster. Kirsten Wild, great rider on both road and track, multiple world champion on the track. Great victories on the road as well. Leading down the back straight, out of the saddle for Wild. Paternoster sitting in the slipstream of Kirsten Wild's good slipstream to be in, but she's going to come around the outside of the Dutch riders that come towards the line, and she will not have the legs to do it. So Kirsten Wild at the end of just short of 14.5 minutes of elimination race action notches the 40 points and will go into the final points race as the leader of the women's Omnium competition, as deserves, of course, the rider wearing the rainbow bands of the world champion for the Omnium, acknowledging the applause of the crowd. Truly one of the great women track and road cyclists of the current generation, Kirsten Wild. Almost makes it seem effortless sometimes, but the pace that Wild delivered in that final run to the line, there was nothing for Letizia Paternoster to do but watch Wild just steal the victory, and she will pick up second spot and 38 points to take into her points race total. Well, that's set up great prospect for the final event of the Women's Omnium, which will be the point race. You will see that live here with us this afternoon. There is confirmation of the result of the Omnium. First 10 places, and then the other 10 places following that, and the final two. First two riders to be eliminated. And there are your point standings. Those are the points we'll see the riders ride into the point race with. Kirsten Wild with that 4-point advantage ahead of Paternoster in second place. And that final point race with the sprints and lap game potentially involved will seal the medals for that competition. So our afternoon programme here on the final day of the first round of the 2018-2019 Tissot UCI Track Cycling World Cup. You've just joined us. We're here live for you from the Velodrome National here in Saint-Quentin, Yvelines, just about 20 kilometres to the west of Paris. Beautiful day outside. Pleasantly warm for late October. But, good sunshine as well. It's very warm indeed here inside the Velodrome, which benefits the best performances from the riders, of course, and a good crowd here to cheer them on this afternoon as well. So we return to action in the men's sprint competition. This is match number 2 in the semi-finals. And the first heat, Harry Lavrison, the World Team Sprint champion, taking on Mateusz Rydzik of Poland, the European Team Sprint champion, when the European Championship took place here at Saint-Quentin in Yvelines back in 2016. It was first blood to Lavrison, who outpaced Rydzik to the line at the end of the opening encounter. Rudzik leading away this time. Strong Polish representation here at this World Cup. One of the largest teams made the trip here to Paris. It's always good to get an early indication before we're relatively early in the track racing season. We've only just a couple of weeks after completion of the World Road Championships in Innsbruck in Austria. Here we are now in action on the track for the winter season. The 6 days races will be taking place over the winter months as well. The London 6-day getting underway just a couple of days' time. And of course, the next round of the World Cup just a week away when we all make the trip across to Canada, to Milton, next weekend to resume battle in the World Cup. And so the battle at the moment for Heat 1 and Match 2 for the men's sprint semi-final. Laverson there, just moistening the lips in anticipation of closing the gap on Rudzik. Neither rider has yet committed themselves to the actual track surface. Laverson first to haul himself onto the brown bit, which is the real racing surface. Rudzik also joins him. Laverson still occupying the higher position, looking for the advantage the banking provides to give him a burst of speed into the long straight here. This 250-metre track, 43 degrees on the bankings, and it fires the riders into the straights, so you can gain an advantage off the crown of the bend as they come into the home and back straights. But Rudzik has spotted Laverson approaching rapidly in the rear view mirrors if he had them. Laverson now on the outside, the long way to the line, but it won't matter because Laverson is going to get another victory. Second of this semi-final heat, and that is enough to give him a place in the gold and silver medal final. 2 straight victories for Harry Laverson of the Netherlands. And deserved applause from the crowd. Got some very natty hats as well to cheer the riders on. Plenty of encouragement from the knowledgeable French crowd here, who really have taken to the cycling here at the National Velodrome since this venue opened back in 2014. And here you can see Laverson came from the back, but had the better closing velocity, and acknowledged sportingly by Mateusz Rudzik. He'll go into the final for the bronze medal a little bit later on this afternoon, and who each of those riders will meet in their respective finals may well be determined by the next event on the track. It is the second match in Heat 2, and we have champions galore in this one. The man with the rainbow bands is the current world sprint champion. He's Matthew Gleitzer of Australia, and he was the winner of the first match. His opponent is the current European sprint champion. He is Geoffrey Hoogland of the Netherlands. And Hoogland, there you can see him, has to win this one to force a decider. If he can't get the better of Gleitzer this time, Gleitzer will meet Laverson for the gold, and Hoogland will meet Rudzik for the bronze. So 3 laps to decide this one. Of course, if Hoogland can square it, it will go to the decider. And it's Hoogland first to position himself on the start line. It's a reversal of the positions they drew for match 1. If it goes to decider, they'll redraw to see who starts on the inside. Hoogland just making the 1 or 2 final preparations. The riders go through a little bit of psychology with themselves and with their opponent as well. Sometimes glancing across these days with tinted visors attached to the helmet. You can't really look your opponent in the eye because all you see is a reflection of yourself, but it's all about the tactics, all about psyching yourself up and trying to get the tactical advantage ahead of your opponent. Speed, of course, is the other primary element in the sprint. People watch this event for the first time and they wonder why the riders don't just speed away from the start line and try and win. Well, it's very difficult to do that for 3 laps. Sprinters rely on those fast twitch muscle fibres for the burst of speed for the final 200 metres or so. Hence the tactical battle for the opening couple of laps. The riders almost coming to a standstill. They can do so now. They've passed the half lap point on the first lap. They need to complete that first passage of the pursuit line in the back straight at walking pace or better, then they can come to a halt if they so wish. That tactic, of course, to try and bring man 2 into the lead position. There's a limit on the amount of time they can come to a halt, maximum 30 seconds, and no more than twice in any match. That rule brought in a good few years ago now to offset some very prolonged standstills we saw in the history of track sprinting, longest of which I think was more than an hour, which kind of tends to upset your event schedule and your TV schedules if that happens. So the battle here between Gleitzer, the world champion, focusing on that back wheel of Hoogerland, waiting for the first sign of Hoogerland to inject extra pace here. Hoogerland drops down right to the bottom of the track. Gleitzer not been tempted to join him, so Hoogerland comes back up above the blue stayers line. Remember, once you're inside that red sprinters line and the final sprinters begin, your opponent has to go around the outside. You can be relegated if you drop down in front of your opponent without giving them a length, or indeed if you come out of that sprinters line and deny your opponent the line around the outside. But it's Hoogerland here. Looks like he's got the better of Gleitzer going to the final lap. Well, this could go to a decider. Hoogerland has got the best position here. Gleitzer's got a big gap to close. He's coming now to Hoogerland. Oh, it's going to be ever so close to the line, but he left it too late. I think Jeffrey Hoogerland timed that one to perfection. 10.027 for the final 200 metres, but far more important than that for Jeffrey Hoogerland, the European champion, is he has squared that one. It will go to the decider. Hoogerland takes match 2, and they will have to take a third opportunity to decide who goes through to the medals. Here you see the sprint beginning. Gleitzer allowed Hoogerland to dictate that front position. He awaited Hoogerland to accelerate away, and Hoogerland did. Gleitzer found the gap was too big to close. You see the final passage across the banking here. Here comes Gleitzer, but on the line Hoogerland with that shorter run to the line, as he said, inside that red sprinters line, closest to the inside of the track, which is the true 250-metre measurement. And Gleitzer found it was a couple of pedal reds too far. So that's set up a real intriguing battle for that one. Go to a decider for heat number 2 of the men's sprint, with Matthew Gleitzer and Jeffrey Hoogerland continuing that battle. Meanwhile, there's confirmation of the 2 riders already into the respective finals. From heat number 1, Harry Lavrison beating Matthias Rujic. So Rujic goes into the bronze medal final, Lavrison into the gold and silver medal final. And they will have a tense few moments now ahead as they wait for that decider to see who will their opponents be in their respective finals. So we're going to bring you some highlights of the action we've seen in preceding days of competition here at the first round of the Tissot UCI Track Cycling World Cup. And the women's sprint competition took place here yesterday. We didn't manage to follow the action with us via a great results site from our official sponsor Tissot. You can find all the official results happening there, and of course we have our very own Twitter feed from the UCI as well. But if you missed out on the actual highlights, we've got them for you here. And this is the match between the Frenchwoman Mathilde Gross and Daria Shmeleva in the battle for bronze in the women's sprint. Gross in the blue of France on the front, Shmeleva in the European champion jersey, second wheel. To go through the belt, it is Gross who's best placed here. Shmeleva trying to close her down, but she's left it late, and looks as though Gross may well have done enough in this opening exchange to secure victory and go one up against Shmeleva. So proud appreciating a home victory for Mathilde Gross of France. Meanwhile, in the gold medal final, Stephanie Morton and Li Weiji are the 2 riders involved in this one. Li Weiji representing Hong Kong, China, and Stephanie Morton for Australia. Well, both riders have tasted success in World Cup rounds. And Weiji Li of Hong Kong, China, I've watched develop over quite a few years of racing from junior level upwards, and a really strong rider indeed, both in the team sprint and the individual sprint, and also a pretty good time trialist when we come to the 500-metre time trial at the World Championships as well. But here we go, Weiji Li looking to get the better of Stephanie Morton. plenty of silver medals to Morton's credit, but looking for the big win, but all on the line, that was ever so close. And, well, that will go to a photo finish between Morton and YG Lee. And an indication that neither rider actually celebrating there, because that was so close, they didn't quite know either. But confirmed, YG Lee gets the better of that one. Back to the next battle in the bronze medal final, best of three, of course. And you can see there Mathilde Gross with the advantage of victory in the first match. If she wins this one, then she will be the bronze medalist, and it will be a bronze medal for the home nation of France. Schmelever giving her plenty of ground here. Gross looking behind. Schmelever starting to close now the gap to Gross. Frenchwoman out of the saddle, just injecting a little bit of extra pace. Now settles again. Schmelever poised to try and make the overtake in the closing stages. She needs to do it, of course. Gross was the winner of the first one. Gross is on the front of this one and still has the lead position. Schmelever tries to use the slipstream of Gross plus the height of the banking to her advantage here. She's tucked onto the wheel of Gross as they come around for the final lap here. Our judges keep a very close eye on this one. Gross just slightly coming out of the sprinters' line as they came towards the finish line. Gross is celebrating that one. And if that's confirmed, she will have it in 2 straight rides. The French think she got it, but I saw a little twitch there from Gross as they came down the finishing straight. Look at that one again. Remember, if you're inside that sprinter's line, you cannot come out and impede the forward progress of your opponent. Very clearly, Mathilde Gross of France came out of that red sprinter's line. And I can tell you that she was, in fact, relegated. So that one will go to a decider. So a second opportunity for Darius Schmelever in that one as we return to the gold medal final. The closest possible finish in the first encounter between Stephanie Morton and YG Lee, to the benefit of the rider you see on your screen there, number 206 from Hong Kong, China, YG Lee. So Stephanie Morton, now she can do little else in terms of the pace she brought to that race. Just literally millimetres separating them on the line. Needs to try and outdo YG Lee tactically here. Lee in the lower position. Morton giving her plenty of ground. YG Lee looking over her shoulder. Morton now draws level, still with the height of the track to her advantage. YG Lee also moving out to that lower part of the track as well as they go shoulder to shoulder now. Morton takes the lead. Is this the opportunity for Stephanie Morton of Australia to strike back at YG Lee? Lee is not out of this one yet, though. She's inside that sprinter line. The shorter route to the finish line is laid out for the rider from Hong Kong, China. YG Lee takes the lead once again. Stephanie Morton, has she got anything left? No, she has not. And in 2 straight rides, YG Lee of Hong Kong, China celebrates a smile as wide as the track here at Saint Quentin and Yvelines, because YG Lee of Hong Kong, China has taken victory and the gold medal. But the battle for the bronze continues following the relegation of Mathilde Gross of France in that second match, which gave the victory to Darius Schmelever. This is the decider. Gross drops down, almost losing her back wheel as she did so. An awful thunk as she landed at the bottom of the track, but managed to keep upright. Schmelever watching that with interest. That's Gross out of the saddle, stinging a little from that relegation, even though she was the rider, of course, who did commit the indiscretion, which gave the victory to her opponent. She won't want to make the same mistake again, and she wants to try and outpace Schmelever as she did in the first meeting. Schmelever comes off the wheel of Gross, trying to benefit from the slipstream and the height. She's back onto the focus of the rear wheel of Gross. Gross still has the advantage. We're in almost the same position as last time, but this time, no indiscretion, no breaking the rules, and across the line in first place. Well, she came awfully close to losing that one, but Darius Schmelever comes through for the bronze, and there is the podium. A very happy YG Lee leaps on to the top step for the gold medal for Hong Kong, China. Second for Stephanie Morton of Australia, and third for Darius Schmelever. So let's hear from the champion.
Good conditions because I have a holiday after Asian Games, but step by step I feel more confident, so I got it.
Got it, she certainly did. It was a great win for YG Lee. As you heard, taking a little break from racing following home games, but coming back in absolutely top form. We rejoin the live action and bring you into the men's Madison final. It's about just about 7 or so minutes old at the moment, early stages. Still 103 laps of racing to go. Well, 102 are on-screen graphics. So, we'll go with that. See the riders making the handsling. If you're new to this particular discipline in track racing, it's one of the oldest disciplines in the world of track racing, eventually developing from a race run at Madison Square Garden in the United States way back when, hence the name of this race. In fact, in French it's called l'Américain. It's all about a team race. Rules have changed slightly in recent years to make it more like a points race with 2 riders. The sprint every 10 laps, and it's all about the points rather than lap gains as it used to be. Lap gain gets you 20 points, but it's all about the maximum points at the end of the race. Denmark taking maximum score in that one ahead of Italy, Belarus and Great Britain in 4th spot as they came across the line. Completion of that sprint. So the men's Madison, you can see the results of the second of the 12 sprints in the race. So Denmark with 5 points. You get 5 for the win, 3 for second, 2 for third, 1 for fourth, bar the final lap, which, like the point race, will give you double points when you come to that final run to the line, and that can make all the difference. Much like a point race as well, gaining a lap when you catch up with the largest group on the track will gain you 20 points. And the rider who is resting will be thrown back into the action by the teammate. British team there, who are currently enjoying the high placing, 6th at the moment, with 1 point, courtesy of that 4th place in the second sprint. The field beginning to stretch out, but seeing any real attacking moves with the prospect of a lap gain so far. The Great Britain team, Oliver Wood and Mark Stewart. Both riders doing well in the first couple of days of competition here. Silver medal for Mark Stewart in the men's point race. So Ollie Wood riding really well. So, to this British team. Black number for Ollie Wood and the red number for Mark Stewart. That's how you determine the 2 riders on the team. One has a red number, one has a black number. Both, of course, in equivalent team jerseys. And it is Great Britain starting to make a move here around the outside. They have the Spanish team latched onto the wheel. The Spaniards here with Albert Torres and Sebastian Mora, both champions at world level on the track. In fact, Albert Torres taking a great victory here last night. Rider who rode actually in Great Britain for a couple of years with the Team Rally squad. It's the Spaniards who make their change here, but it's still Team Great Britain ahead of Australia 3rd. But Great Britain, Spain, Australia are the teams vying for the points in this next sprint. The Spaniards coming through to deny Great Britain maximum points. Great Britain will get 2nd. Australia 3rd. Now will they continue this move? There's a gap now to 3 chasers, then the main field beginning to fragment. Belgium on the front of that chasing pack. There you can see it's Spain from Great Britain, and the rider in 3rd place at the bottom of the track there. The Dutch rider was a resting rider who was at the top of our picture. And it was Spain, Great Britain, Australia, Belarus for 4th place in that one, confirmed by our on-screen graph at the end of sprint number 3. Still those 3 teams at the front, but the gaps once again beginning to close. It's proving difficult to get away here. Still relatively early stages, 87 laps remaining in the men's Madison. Taking the lead position here for Team 1, Poland. Juski, Slorowski are the 2 riders from Poland who attempt to gain ground here from a teammate, the Netherlands. That's Jan Willem van Schip, pursued by the Danish team. The gap is almost made as well. Dane's not too far away from making the change. It's Lassie Norman Hansen and Michael Morkov. Norman Hansen Strong rider indeed, being on the podium in the team pursuit on day 1 of the championships. We'll have some highlights of that for you a little bit later in our afternoon's programme here, but live action currently here with 83 laps remaining in the men's Madison. Since the reinvention of the Madison, when the rules were rejigged, it's come back into favour in all the big competitions. Race that you have to concentrate on with, of course, 2 riders on the track, only one of which is actually counting in the action at any one time. Those hand slings all important. You do have to make physical contact with your teammate. You can't just say, OK, it's your turn as you come alongside. You have to actually, not only hand sling, but a tap on the shorts is equally good, but you cannot fail to make contact with your teammates to sling them into the action. A little bit of respite then for the resting rider as we head into the next sprint here. The 80 lap to go sprint number 4 of the 12 that make up this race. And as we come through the line, again, that one again, a little group of riders just coming clear on the front of the pack, 4 of them to secure the first 4 places. Portugal score their first points in this Madison. Great Britain second from Denmark third, and Netherlands in 4th spot. 11 for Portugal. Matisse and Ivo Oliveira open their account. But the standings currently see Denmark with a size advantage at the top of the leaderboard. Great Britain second. Australia, Portugal, Spain all locked together on 5 points each. And then Italy, the next place team with 4 points. And 6th place with those 3 teams in joint 3rd place: Australia, Portugal and Spain. Denmark the leaders, Great Britain 7th place. 76 laps remaining. Field again sees an attacking move. This time it is the team of New Zealand who are trying to go away. The 13 on the max, the riders here from New Zealand, Campbell Stewart and Harry Wayne. Prospects, mix of experience and younger riders in the New Zealand squad they've brought to this first round of the Tissot UCI Track Cycling World Cup. France in 2nd spot here, and the Netherlands in 3rd. So chance once again for the line to come all back together. The New Zealand team not allowed to gain any significant ground. France come alongside. The Swiss team well placed in 4th spot here as well. Currently lying 8th in the standings with 2 points on the board for Switzerland. Represented here by Lucas Orug and Nico Selinati. Australia and France vying for the points here. Here comes Spain though around the outside as we head toward the next sprint. Looks like they may have getting themselves in position for a point score once again here for the Spanish team. They stand as one of the favourites for this Madison. Albert Torres and Sebastian Mora. Well, they came up towards the front of the race, but they still got a lap to go to the sprint. They now find themselves just out of the points currently because it's Australia on the front here. The red number for Australia leading this one towards the line. And maximum points for Lee Howard of Australia ahead of Austria, Netherlands and France. So 5 for Australia, and a failure to pick up any points for Denmark moves the Australians within 2 points of the lead. Denmark now on 12 points, Australia up to 10. Netherlands with 7. Netherlands with 3 points. Yeah, let's get that one right. Those are the actual standings. Great Britain with 7 points in 3rd place, and Portugal in 4th place with 5. In joint 4th place with Spain. Once again, it's the Swiss team on the front. See the British rider Tom hanging out, and a testament to the effort that's been applied here. We're still more than halfway to go in this men's Madison final, contested over 30 kilometres, 120 laps of this 250-metre track. The Madison, of course, mainstay of the 6-day events. We mentioned a little earlier that we're also not only moving into the World Cup season, but also the ever-popular 6 days taking place all across Europe over the winter months. Riders riding on these Madison races every single night on a 6-day. They still use the system of counting lap gains as being the means of determining the winning team overall in the 6-day Madisons. Sometimes they have a chase as well, which is a Madison with points only in the final 20 laps or so. So it's a tactical battle and then an all-out rush for points. Several different variations. You can see a close-up there of the action as the Portuguese riders complete the handsling. So too the British team. And, millimetre precision required. Some of these riders make it look easy. There's Lasse Norman Hansen just casting his teammate into the frame, Michael Morkov. Believe me, you've got to absolutely get that right. Surrounded by the other riders. Maybe some others also completing a change when you're doing so as well. You have to, understandably, can't change above another team, as if you were to come to grief. But the outcome of that would be a disaster for both teams. So that's amongst the many rules of Madison racing that our race officials will be keeping their eye on. We'll also be looking at who's at the head of the race as we head towards the next sprint. 61 laps to go. It'll be 60 next time round in sprint 6 of 12, so we're reaching the halfway point in the Madison. Well, they failed to score last time. They're going to make amends this time, though, because Denmark on the front are looking for 5 points on the line and will take it. So that will re-establish their lead. Great Britain a good second place in that sprint ahead of France and Spain. Here's a replay as they cross the line. Denmark with points picked up there by Lasse Norman Hansen. So that will give them now a 7-point buffer ahead of Australia and Great Britain, who are now tying in second place, 10 points each. Spain in 4th, and this is quite a big gap now for the Spanish duo of and Torres. So a little bit Torres taking a whole fistful of lap gains on the way to point race victory today. But they need to do something about this one if they're to challenge for a medal on our winners' podium, because Denmark, Australia and Great Britain, the only teams in double figures in the scoring so far, with 56 laps remaining. So one or two teams beginning to suffer a little bit here towards the back as the pace begins to take its toll. Still the majority of the teams all locked together in this leading group. Once again, they come through the finish line 5 away from the next sprint. Great Britain with Oliver Wood for the British team. Mark Stewart, Scotsman, this British squad. They're looking to try and get clear of Australia. They're locked in second place, joint second place in Australia, both with 10 points each so far. 3 away from the next sprint as Germany come to the head of the race. This time we've seen it's Malczarek and Theo Reinhardt of Germany on the front of the bunch here. So once again a regrouping. Look out though for Denmark, because they're starting to move forward, almost as if they have preempted the arrival of the next sprint. Of course, they do see that lap countdown each time they go through the line. Australians make the change going into the sprint lap. Danes settle into second place here. Can they come around the Australians? Great Britain needs to try and secure some points. It's Germany in 3rd place here, followed by Spain coming to the line. Australia for 5, and Denmark for 3. Spain look like they got 2 just ahead of Germany. First and second pretty clear cut, but here's the battle for 3rd, and just coming through for the points was Spain. So that'll ease them a little further up the scoring board now. 2 points in that sprint for Spain, Germany with 1. So Denmark a 5-point advantage ahead of Australia. With themselves now have a 5-point advantage of Great Britain. 2 points clear of Spain now up into 4th place. So the team helpers down there at trackside, ready to leap into action if a rider suffers a mechanical problem. Should that occur, the remaining rider has to continue in the race until his teammate returns to the action. If his teammate cannot return to the action, then the team will be withdrawn from the race. We've not seen anyone had the misfortune to have a mechanical problem so far in this Madison. There's the Spanish combine making their change and just glancing behind Germany, who are starting to come good here now. That's Moritz Malcharek of Germany on the front. Settled into that position. He had Brakely visibly resting on them, but he hasn't, so adopting the more traditional track races with our position as he throws his teammate into the action. Theo Reinhardt is the British pair making their change. They've seen that gap grow between themselves and Australia. They were tying for points going into the last sprint, but the win for Australia and the failure of Great Britain to score has opened the gap in the silver medal position at the moment for Australia. Still 42 laps to go. Great Britain looking to not make a mistake again in missing out on points. Once again, though, it is Denmark beginning to show their dominance once again. So that's Norman Hansen driving hard for Denmark. Still Germany looking for 5 points. Languishing in 12th with just 1 point on the board so far from the 4th place in that last sprint. Looks like they're favourites for this one. That'll give them a 5-point score. Moving them up to 6 points. Germany for 5. Denmark, though, with 3. Great Britain scored that time too, but so too do Australia with 1 point. So as we rejig the leaderboard again, the gap remains between Australia and Great Britain is down to now 4 points. Australia on 16, Great Britain on 12, but at the top of the leaderboard, 7 points clear of Australia, are Denmark. 38 laps to go in this men's Madison. And once again, the field fragmenting. The pressure, of course, was applied into that sprint lap. As the race progresses, riders begin to tire. It becomes more difficult to close those gaps down once they open. And that's the kind of time when we can start to see riders who've still got good form towards the latter half of the race make a bid for the 20 points that would reward them for a lap gain. More difficult on a track of 250-metre distance like this one here to gain a lap. It is on the shorter tracks favoured by the 6-day races. And Ukraine, at the opposite end of the race, they have lost 20 points and go a lap behind. Krinev and Shaban of Ukraine. Meanwhile, though, back at the front, team number 1, Poland, come to the front and open an advantage. That is Cholorowski of Poland with a black number. There's our leader on the track, Australia, Great Britain and Germany, along with Denmark and Spain at the front of what is now the main field, coming into the finishing straight. The advantage though for Poland as they make the change, and Staniszewski takes up the pace for the Polish combine. This is the biggest gap we have seen so far. Riders who have gained an advantage at the head of the race. And taking advantage of the slipstream there. Dropping onto the wheel is the Irish team. Further down, but coming into the bell that time and looking for points in the sprint. Good glance across the track here. Poles have got a good lead. Main field just across the sprint line now. 30 laps remaining. There's a replay for second place in that sprint. It's Denmark from Germany from Australia. Again, Great Britain miss out. So that'll benefit the Australians. Danes also with 3 points in second place. But Poland move up now to joint 6th spot along with Portugal. They are both on 5 points each. But remember, if the Polish team catch up with the rear of the main field, which once again is fragmented following that sprint, will be credited with 20 points in the lap gain. The gap has gone out again now for the Pearls. They put all their effort into staying clear for those 5 points in the sprint, hoping to benefit the remaining sprints as well. Just 26 laps of this Madison race to go. 9 points now the lead for the team of Denmark, and this is beginning to look ominous now in the battle for the gold. Denmark have been relentlessly building that point score across each of the 9 sprints so far. Still just one team a lap down, Ukraine. Our focus now very much on the head of affairs. These riders now, the battle is beginning to become a little clearer for the medals as the sprints run out, but of course double points on that last sprint. And Polish riders once again found the strength here to close the gap to the main field. There you can see the differential as the Poles come through the line. Belarus just behind them. So sprint number 10 is beckoning. And Poland looking for the points. They'll hold off gaining the lap, I suspect, until they have got the sprint points in the bag as well. They've once again made good progress towards the back of once again a split main field. The larger group just about to be rejoined. It's the team just making the gap there to bring the 2 halves of the peloton back together. Spain on the front realised the danger. It's the Polish team here, almost in reaching distance at the back of the main field, and the 20 points will go with it. There's the minor placings in the sprint. Poland got the 5, of course. Now will be the time to close it down and take the lap gain. The Belarus team, though, along for the ride with the Poles. The remaining points will be awarded at the head of the main field. We're awaiting confirmation of that one. Well, Hong Kong, China for 3, Great Britain for 2, Netherlands for 1. So Australia miss out this time, and Great Britain narrow the deficit to Australia. Denmark 26 points now, Australia 17. Great Britain with 14, Poland on 10. But if they make that lap gain, they will go to 20 points and steal second spot. 17 laps to go. So an intriguing conclusion in prospect for this men's Madison. Once again, Poland driving hard here, try and close the gap to the back of that main field. Those lagging riders can't assist him. They have to stay behind the rider who's the head of the race. Looking for his teammate to make the change of 4 away from the penultimate sprint. The opportunity for point scoring, not only for sprints but also from lap gains, beginning to ebb away here. Lasse Norman Hansen of Denmark with that 9-point lead ahead of Australia. And just 2 sprints to go. If Poland fail to make the lap and Denmark pick up the points in this final sprint, that will almost set the seal on the gold medal, I fear. Battle behind between Australia and Great Britain. And Poland, of course, now in 4th place with 10 points, just 4 behind GB in 3rd, and a further 7 points behind Australia in 2nd. The Irish team there just losing a lap, along with New Zealand as well. Looks like the Irish may well have lost one of their riders as well, but I fear that we won't make it back into the race in the final 10 laps here. But let's concentrate our attention on the penultimate sprint. Will this be the indication of who will be our men's Madison champion here in this first round of the Tissot UCI Track Cycling World Cup in St. Quentin, Yvelines. This is the men's Madison live for you here on this Sunday afternoon. And we're into the final 9 laps of the race. It is Poland for 5 points, still not made the lap game. Denmark for 3, Austria for 2, and Great Britain for 1. So the top of the leaderboard with the 1 sprint remaining sees Denmark with 29 points, an unassailable lead now for Denmark. 10 points available in the final sprint. The best Australia could do if they win that final sprint and Denmark fail to score would be to take second place in the silver medal, but they've got nipping at their heels now. Poland and Great Britain locked together in third place with 15 points each. It's all going to come down to the final sprint for the line. Those double points will be all important in this men's Madison. It's been a great effort by Poland to try and gain the lap. They couldn't quite make it. The teams driving the main field realised the danger. They accelerated after that most recent sprint. And that coupled with the bound to be tiring legs now, those 2 Polish riders who've been battling to try and get that lap gain. But here are the team who are our winners-elect of this men's Madison final. Team of Denmark, Lasse Norman Hansen and Michael Morkov. Not quite able to start the celebrations yet with 5 laps to go. So they can feel comfortable. That advantage 12 points ahead of Australia with just 10 points available in the final sprint. So the Poles back in the fold. And we focus our attention here on the riders at the head of the race. We have just got 3 laps to go to the sprint. And it is the black number of Lasse Norman Hansen of Denmark who is on the front of that group. As his teammate for Denmark, Michael Morkov. Very strong rider indeed is Morkov. As the bell sounds and the final run to the line begins. Well, the Poles have had a great race and there is still a prospect, potentially, of overhauling Australia if they can in this final sprint. It's going to be very close indeed, but the Danes have got it. The celebrations begin already for Michael Morkov, joined doubtless by Lasse Norman Hansen. The fire cannons erupt here at trackside to celebrate another gold medal. And Denmark from Belgium, from Germany, from Ukraine in that final sprint. 10 points for Denmark gives them 39 points. Australia failed to score, but the 17 points they have is enough. Poland failed to score in the final sprint, so they have 15 points, but they crossed to the line ahead of Great Britain, I think, in that final run to the line. So that, I think, will just give the bronze medal to Poland. We'll wait for absolute confirmation of that, but those 2 men on your screen there can afford to smile now. Danes already taking victory in the men's team pursuit on day 1. Now they add a great team victory in the Madison for Lasse Norman Hansen and Michael Morkov. Slow-mo at the final sprint there. And no doubt about your winners for the Madison. The clap of the hands, raising the arms aloft. 120 laps of racing, but all smiles now. The dominant race from the team of Denmark, the winners of the men's Madison here at the Tissot UCI Track Cycling World Cup. Poles glancing up at the scoreboard as well. They came back well in that race. They came so close to the lap gain. And still not had confirmation of who between Poland and Great Britain are confirmed as the bronze medalists. Computer screen here showing us a photo between Poland and Great Britain. Nail-biting moments for both teams. Slarowski and Stanishku, Poland. And the 2 British riders there, Ollie Wood and Mark Stewart. Faded a little in the points scoring towards the end of the race. See our race officials also just poring over the results there. Along with our colleagues from Tissot, of course our event sponsors and also providers of the official results. If you'd like to look at all of the results from the racing across the weekend, indeed the forthcoming 5 further rounds of the Tissot UCI Track Cycling World Cup. You can visit the Tissot timing website and have the benefit of the information we have here at the venue, pretty much. All the stats, all the times, all the results for you. So the discussion continues. Well, hill-biting moments here. Denmark and Australia. They know that they've secured a place on the podium. Spaniards started as strong favourites for this one. Albert Torres and Sebastian Mora. Just passing on a word or two with one of our teams there, the Austrians Anders Graf and Andreas Müller. Always comes down to the discussion of where it all went wrong. What happened? You see that? I was almost there. Yeah, could have got the points. Could have got the sprint. But riders do spend a lot of time analysing the performances. Of course, indeed, do the team managers as well, to try and extract the very best from their riders. Of course, with these events counting towards qualification for the World Championships and eventually the Olympic Games as well. Spain, 8 points for them. Germany on 8 points, according to our still official scoreboard on the computer here. So we're just waiting for those medal positions to be confirmed. Venue scoreboard suggesting Poland ahead of Great Britain. What's the order across the line? So as the riders depart from the track at the end of a very hard fought Madison. Still looking hard at the computer screens there, just to make sure we have that result absolutely nailed. So we have some more highlights upcoming for you relatively shortly as well for the men's Omnium. Those riders you've just seen on your screen there, one of them in particular had a great outing in that competition yesterday. More of which shortly, so see our crowd absorbed in the action here as well. There's our British duo completing another change. 31 minutes and 10 seconds of action for that Madison final. See the effort written all over the face of the Australian duo there as well. And also the Spaniards. Vastly experienced Madison racing. Torres and Mora, but not quite good enough on this occasion for a place on the podium. Germans had a good race, but finishing just outside the top 4. Still we await for official confirmation on our event computer here. I've seen it on the venue scoreboard, but we go by what the Tissot computer tells us. And still showing that decision yet to be confirmed between Poland and Great Britain for third place and the bronze medal. But you can see the Danes. Consummate performance from Michael Morkov and Lassie Norman Hansen. No doubt that they will be on the top step of the podium. As we mentioned, it is more success for Denmark. So we'll try and confirm that result for you as soon as we get it. Meanwhile, though, as previously advertised, we're going to bring you some highlights of the men's Omnium competition from yesterday. Starting with the elimination race. As with the women's Omnium, we saw live earlier this afternoon. The men's Omnium also made up from 4 elements of competition. And the elimination, where the last man across the line each lap will be one who gets minimum points. Looking for first rider to go here, and it looks like Ukraine losing out there. That was Maxim Vasiliev of the Ukraine. 9th spot for him in this elimination race. We're down to the final 8 riders left on the track here. Great Britain at the front, France second wheel. Netherlands a little further down. They're in the danger zone towards the back. But next to go will be João Matias of Portugal. So he goes. There's 8th spot in the elimination. As the bell rings for the next elimination, the Italians on a move around the outside here. Simone Consonni. Russian Federation. Denmark just on the outside. Great Britain also well placed here. It's the Italians on the front. The back is where we focus our attention today. Denmark now find themselves in the danger zone at the bottom of the track. Oh, but pulling his foot out the pedal there was the rider there from Belarus, Roman Shushku. He did extremely well to not only keep his bike upright, but also still contest that elimination line. Let's get that again. Well, the cleat just giving way there for Shushku. Little wobble, but he almost survived being eliminated. Great riding there for Roman Shushku, 7th in the elimination. The remaining 6 though, still battling this one out. Great Britain on the front. It looks as though it is going to be elimination this time though for Julius Johansson of Denmark, member of that team pursuit winning squad from day one. But he's will make no further progress in the elimination race for the Omnium. That leads Benjamin Thomas of France, Jan-Willem van Schip of the Netherlands, Simone Consonni of Italy, and Sergei Rostovchev of Russia to battle this one. It's Van Schip at the bottom of the track, but at the back, I think it was France that time, and Benjamin Thomas. Shake on the head there from Thomas. Tend to indicate that was the case. So he goes as well. Getting down to the final 4. We'll eliminate riders right down to the last 2 to cross the finishing line. Italy still from Russian Federation, Great Britain and the Netherlands. And it's going to be Jan-Willem van Schip who will go that time. Ollie Wood still in there for Great Britain. Looks across at Simone Consonni of Italy. 40 points to your Omnium total for winning an element. It's looking good for Oliver Wood. Not looking so good for Consonni, though. He was at the front a few moments ago, but now he finds himself in 3rd place, trying to get past Rostovchev of the Russian Federation. He's left it late, though. Consonni of Italy will go. The final rider to be eliminated, leaving Rostovchev of the Russian Federation and Oliver Wood of Great Britain to fight out the victory in the elimination phase of the men's Omnium. Wood on the front. His opponent, Rostovchev, in 2nd place here. A little bit of a sprint tactic being brought to bear here. Wood accelerating away. And, well, Rostovchev has conceded this one. So Ollie Wood is going to win the elimination race for Great Britain in the men's Omnium. That'll do his chances no harm at all. Moves up into 5th spot overall in the Omnium standings, but Roman Shushku, who we saw a little bit earlier in that race, being eliminated as he lost his right shoe pedal connection. Still the top of the leaderboard, but as with all Omniums, it comes down to the final points race to decide the outcome. And as with all points races, the intermediate sprints plus potential for lap gains are all important. 2 riders here at the head of the race with 72 laps to go, 2 away from that 70-lap sprint. And the rider we see there at the front, the Spaniard, Albert Torres. And along with him is the world champion in this discipline, Szymon Sejnok of Poland. You can see they're not a million miles away from making the lap game, but they'll be waiting to make that until this next sprint has been completed. Wise heads on the shoulders of both these riders. They know they'll pick up the points for the sprint, and then they can look at gaining the lap with the 20 points that will amass from that lap gain. So those 2 riders will be the ones who will get maximum points. Then they will close the gap and make the lap gain as well. Wise move there from Albert Torres and Szymon Sejnok. they get the 20 points for the lap gain and go to the top of the leaderboard. Also picking up the points in the sprint, Sajnok for 5, Torres for 3. Ramon Shushku, the erstwhile leader of the Omnium, better placed in that sprint. But he now slips to second as Albert Torres goes to the top of the leaderboard for Spain. Well, that lap gain could prove very, very valuable indeed. We'll move on now to just 17 laps to go. Canada on the front of this little group here. And 6 riders in that group look as though they are going to take another lap here. And once again, Torres was amongst them. Well, that will really turn the screw for Albert Torres. His second lap gain of the race, along with his 5 compatriots. Immediately followed by an attacking move here from Great Britain and France. G of Canada, maximum points. Torres second, Thomas third, Wood fourth, Van Schip for Netherlands fifth, and then Sajnok sixth. And once again, a group off the front here with 11 laps to go to the sprint. And once again, they will hang on for the sprint points. It is France, Great Britain and Spain here. The battle for the silver medal is very much in contention between Benjamin Thomas and Oliver Wood. It's very close indeed. It could come down to the best place rider in the final sprint. 10 to go as that sprint is completed. Will we see yet another lap being taken here by these 3? Just 9 laps to go, leaving it late. But it's a good trio of riders here. Torres, the runaway leader now of the Omnium, but Oliver Wood and Benjamin Thomas, second and first respectively. Look at the point score now. Van Schip of the Netherlands on 1-2-3, Ollie Wood on 1-2-2, Benjamin Thomas on 1-1-9. But those 3 riders with 8 laps of the track to go, 2 kilometres if you prefer it, look as though they might just gain the lap here. There is the main field in the back straight. Your 3 leading riders are within reaching distance. Well, this really would seal the men's Omnium in the closing stage of this point race. Oliver Wood, Benjamin Thomas and Albert Torres, the 3 riders once again gaining the lap. That will put Wood and Thomas almost equal in the battle for second. It'll come down to the final sprint. So Torres, Thomas and Wood each gain a further 20 points. Just a handful of laps remaining in this points race finale in the men's Omnium. The attack off the front comes from Belgium. But Torres on 1.74, Wood on 1.42, Thomas on 1.39. Are the riders looking for the points here? And they start to make the move up now in the main field. It's Belgium on the front. And heading for crossing the line at the end of this race for maximum points. Double points, of course, on the final sprint. But it's going to be an intriguing battle for the medals behind. And if there's an equality of points, it's the best placed rider in the final sprint in the race. Well, Albert Torres knows he's won 3 lap gains, a total of 60 points amassed by Torres just from lap gains. Oliver Wood second for Great Britain and Benjamin Thomas third for France. Those riders separated by their positions across the finish line. So a well-fought Omnium, and we move rapidly on to everyone's favourite battle in the Keirin. More highlights for you from yesterday. This is the second round of the men's Keirin. Try and gain a place in the finals. And Dawkins coming through there for New Zealand to qualify from that heat, along with Christoph Maxell and Yuta Wakimoto of Japan. 3 riders qualifying from each of these 2 heats in the second round phase of the men's Keirin. The race, of course, that is run off in the early stages behind the little dirty pace motorcycle. Purists will be pleased to know it is a human and a combustion engine powered Derny here, not an electric one, for this first round of the World Cup, and heading for passing the line at the second heat in the second round there for the men. in the Keirin. Celebration, a great finish there for Jack Carlin, head of Teo Boss, multiple world champion in the discipline, and Hesani Canelon of Venezuela, also qualifying into the men's Keirin finals. The first of which we'll see is the minor final, if you like, the battle for places 7 through to 12. So the riders head off from the start line, obliged to take a position behind that Derny pacing machine in the order that they drew their starting positions for the first half lap. Then they can start to do battle for the placings. So Pavel Vochev of Kazakhstan, Francois Pervis of France, Mathieu Glaser of Australia, Tomoyuki Kawabata of Japan, Mark Jusek of Germany, and Cacho Freitas of Brazil are the riders contesting this one. Don't see too many Brazilian riders in the Keirin, but he's the rider currently sitting in second spot at the moment, just behind the Derny bike. France at the back for Francois Pervis, rider who's very strong sprinter indeed, Pervis, one of the team sprint specialists on the French team. Beginning to wind it up here, Pervis. He knows it's only a battle for the minor placings, but it all counts. Better to finish 7th than 12th. 4 laps to go. The pacing bike will peel off with 3 laps to go in the home straight. He'll leave the riders travelling at 50 kilometres per hour. And we see the acceleration here from Mathieu Glaser, world sprint champion. And Keirin champion as well, but is in the battle for the minor placings here with Francois Pervis on the wheel. But look out for the late charge here from Kazakhstan, coming from right at the back of the main field. As Pervis accelerates, he's being chased here by Vochev of Kazakhstan. The pace of Pervis powering towards the line, but the Kazakhstan riders not out of this one yet. Into the finishing straight they come in this minor final for the men's Keirin. And on the line, I think Vochev got that one from Pervis. So Pavel Vochev of Kazakhstan will take 7th place ahead of Francois Pervis, 8th and 9th for Mathieu Glaser, and Tomoyuki Kawabata of Japan will take 10th place overall in the men's Keirin competition. Confirmation of that result for the minor placings. We will now bring you, of course, the major final. Don't worry, there are more than 3 riders involved. These are just the first 3 to come to the track. Yuta Wakimoto of Japan. There's the face of Edward Dawkins, the big New Zealander, looking down at his opponents here. Christoph Maxel, who comes to line for Poland. Great Britain's Jack Carlin, great silver medal in the World Sprint Championships earlier this year for Jack Carlin. Teo Boss, multiple champion, multiple world champion, team sprint, Keirin, and also the time trial as well. And for Venezuela, Hesani Canelon. And the man further down the track for Poland is Christoph Maxel. And last but not least, on the inside is Yuta Wakimoto of Japan. Japan is where this race was invented. Almost the national sport of Japan, the Keirin. Popular folklore suggests that Keirin in Japanese means fight. Actually, doesn't it? Just means race. But it always is a fight for the honours in this one. This will be an intriguing battle here with Wakimoto well placed behind the wheel of the Derny. The riders, when they're picked up by the Derny at 30 kilometres per hour, they gradually increment the pace as they travel around lap by lap. When the Derny leaves the track in the home straight with 3 laps to go. Those rules of the Keirin changed slightly following the Olympics in Rio, where we saw that battle for the medals, edge of the seat, nail-biting battle, which took several attempts to decide the medals, and the UCI tweaking the rules a little bit for the Keirin following that one. The pacer now leaves the track in the home straight rather than the back straight, with 3 laps rather than 2.5 laps to go. So it leaves the riders a little bit longer to battle it out. All sprint tactics come into play as soon as the Derny has left the track, as it does so now. And in this men's Keirin final, Jack Carling comes to the head of the line here. Eddie Dawkins of New Zealand making a move, but Wakimoto of Japan still well placed. Look at the charge there for Theo Bos here. Bos, a multiple world champion, riding for the Beat cycling team from the Netherlands, and Bos looks as though he's got this one at the 2 lap to go marker. Jack Carling, though, settled onto the wheel of Bos. Gap to close. Theo Bos redoubles his effort into the bell lap here for the men's Keirin. And Wakimoto of Japan in third here. Can he come around Carling and Bos? It's very, very close. They're into the finishing straight. Wakimoto on the outside, Carling in the middle, Bos on the inside. But on the line, Wakimoto of Japan takes that one. Well, great riding there from the rider from Japan, Yuta Wakimoto, celebrating victory in the Keirin and top step on the podium. A broad smile indeed as he collects his gold medal. And second place for Eddie Dawkins. Third place for Krzysztof Maxel of Poland. So a great men's Keirin. And we did hear from Yuta Wakimoto in Japanese. We had a little interview with him at the end of the race, so we don't have that for you. But Japanese speakers amongst you may be keen to know that he said that he really enjoyed that victory, left it very late. But he was really pleased with the pace he developed in that final run to the line, just overhauling Great Britain's Jack Carling. And of course, Theo Bos, who for most of that final lap looked as though he was going to add yet another incredible win to his long list of victories, but finally denied on the line, in fact finishing no better than 5th with Carling in 4th place. So, back live for you here at the Velodrome National here at Saint-Quentin-Yvelines. And if you're hanging on the edge of your seat, wondering who was the eventual silver, bronze medal winners in the men's Madison, I can tell you that result has still not been confirmed. So we're as much in the dark as you are at the moment. In the meantime, while we still wait with keen anticipation for final clarification of that result, it's time to return to the sprint. This is the decider in the men's sprint competition. And to see who will go into the gold and silver medal final and who will take their place in the silver and bronze medal final. Jeffrey Hoogerland, rider who is the European champion in this discipline. Just having a little word with his helper there as he's brought to the track. Hoogerland lost out in the first encounter with world champion Matthew Gleitzer, but came back strongly in the second. Gleitzer gave Hoogerland a big margin into the final lap and was not able to close it down. So the world champion, could argue, is under more pressure here than Hoogerland because he took the opening encounter with relative ease. I think he thought he had the legs to deny Hoogerland in the second match, but didn't prove to be the case. The European champion squaring it at 1 match each, and this is your decider. So the powerful frame of Jeffrey Hoogerland of the Netherlands, the European champion. Those championships taking place in Glasgow, the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome, just a month or so ago, a couple of months ago in August. And of course the world champion, taking that title in Apeldoorn in the Netherlands back in late February. Matthew Gleitzer. Gleitzer takes the lead position this time. So can he get the better of Hoogerland? Hoogerland's using once again the slipstream of Gleitzer and the height of the track to try and close the gap. He's left it very, very late this time. I don't think he'll get over the top of Hoogerland this time around. So Hoogerland is battling here, but Gleitzer disappearing down the track ahead of him, and it was a valiant effort from Jeffrey Hoogerland. He used every possible tool he could to try and overhaul Matthew Gleitzer, but that little shake of the head there from Hoogerland and that nod of the head, more importantly from Matthew Gleitzer. He had to go to 3, but he'll take Gleitzer into the final for the gold and silver medals, where he will meet Harry Leverson. And Jeffrey Hoogerland, well, he will meet Maciej Rudzic of Poland in the battle for the bronze. Little look at that final run to the line. This is the moment where Hoogerland decided to go up the track. Gleitzer stayed resolutely inside that sprinter's line. Hugeland trying to use the height of the track to his advantage, launched himself in pursuit of Gleitzer, but look at that. Gulping in the air there was Matthew Gleitzer, and that arm raised, a little shake of the fist. You don't get me this time, mate. And in 2 out of 3, it is Matthew Gleitzer into the final for gold with Harry Lavrison. And bronze will be contested between Matthias Rudzik of Poland and Jeffrey Hugeland, the European champion for the Netherlands. So that was the most recent live action on the track here for you this afternoon. And we'll be looking forward to more action very shortly. The women's Omnium. It's the deciding phase of the women's Omnium, in fact. The final race will be the points race. There's the lineup for you on the screen. As we go into this final of the 4 disciplines, Kirsten Wild, world champion in those rainbow bands, taking that women's Omnium crown at the World Championships earlier this year. But we've got two very worthy opponents here to try and battle that one out. Lying second overall in the Omnium standings is Letizia Paternoster of Italy. Great Britain's Nia Evans in 3rd place with 98, 10 points ahead of Olivia Balasaita of Lithuania in 4th place overall. And that is the rest of the start list for you for this women's Omnium point race final. Half the field will start on the fence at the top of the track. Half will start at the bottom. The riders at the top of the Omnium standings will take the first positions on the track. So Kirsten Wild, the leader, is the first rider in the line at the top of the track. Second place, Letizia Paternoster heads the lineup at the bottom of the track, and then Nia Evans and Olivia Balasaita, and so on down the standings. Standard point race rules apply, bar the fact that you start this race with the points you have amassed so far in the Omnium competition. Last few moments as the riders are positioned on the track here. They're just taking the opportunity for a bit of a sit down before the race gets underway. Rider from Ireland there. She's had a good Omnium. See if she can bring more good form to this final discipline. And there is the world champion. Well, smiling already, Kirsten Wild. He is an imperious performer, both on road and track. And she will start as very, very keen favourite. But we have got a considerable number of laps here before we can finally say who will be the women's Omnium champion this first round of the UCI Track Cycling World Cup. First of 6 rounds. We want to bring you live coverage of the final day's action in each of those 6 rounds. Of course, next week we head to Canada to rather cooler conditions, I suspect, than we're experiencing here in Paris today. Very pleasant 18 degrees outside the Velodrome National here at Saint Quentin and Yvelines, as the riders roll away for the start of this women's points race final. Just to remind you of the points score and the current standings: Kirsten Wild, 112 points. She was a winner of the elimination race. She was 4th in the tempo race. She was 2nd in the scratch race. Letizia Paternoster has got 108 points, 4 behind Wild in 2nd place. She took 2nd in the elimination race, 3rd in the tempo, and 4th in the scratch race. Great Britain's Nia Evans, 98 points for Evans, 5th in the elimination, 2nd great rider in the tempo race, and 7th in the scratch race. So those are the 3 riders at the top of the standings, but it's still pretty tight at the top of that leaderboard. Remember, points in each of the sprints during this 80-lap point race final. 8 sprints to be contested. Final sprint counts for double points, of course. Also, lap gains. We'll be keeping a very careful eye indeed on the riders making the running for that one. whilst we were bringing you our highlights a little bit earlier, let me just confirm for you very quickly the 1, 2, 3 in the women's scratch race. A race we didn't actually bring you live coverage of, but it was actually Quentin of Australia who was the winner of that one, ahead of Megan Barker of Great Britain, and the silver medal for the British team in the women's scratch race final. And Daria Puchlik of Poland picked up the bronze medal in 3rd place, ahead of Rachel Barbieri of Italy. So that was the top 4. The women's scratch race final, which took place while we were bringing you some highlights a little earlier this afternoon. 76 laps to go. There is the world champion, Kirsten Wild. Right just behind her, mentioned for Ireland, is Shannon McCurley. Lying 10th at the moment, McCurley. She's got 62 points. Her best element of the Omnium so far was the tempo race, where she finished in 10th place. Very consistent scoring from McCurley. She was 11th in the scratch, 11th in the elimination, and 10th in the tempo race, which is the one where there's a sprint every lap for half a point. 75 to go. We're 5 away from the opening sprint here in this women's Omnium's points race final. The early stages here, no one yet making a mark in. The Evans of Great Britain just sitting on the front of that group. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, the Evans had a great start to this first round of the UCI Track Cycling World Cup on day 1. Quite a few medals for the Great Britain team so far. We'll be looking to try and add to that. She was silver medalist in the women's Madison, along with Emily Kay. Now she's in with a good chance here in the women's Omnium. 3rd place for Evans. Hails from Scotland. First really coming to prominence on the track racing scene when she really dominated the women's competition in the Revolution Series a couple of years ago. That took place on tracks around the United Kingdom. And she was very quickly picked up by the British national team off the back of those performances. And here she is now in a very good position in the women's Omnium. So here we're heading for the first sprint of the race. Let's see who can pick up maximum points. As they cross the line, first opportunity to score, it looked like Balasaita of Lithuania for the 5 points, ahead of Wild of Netherlands, the world champion, 2nd place with 3 points. Pascal Julien of France, 3rd for 2, and Aditya Paternoster of Italy for 1. So good scoring there for Wild and Paternoster. Balasaita, she's in 4th place, so she will certainly benefit from that score as well. She's got 88 points going into that first sprint. 68 laps to go. Frenchwoman comes to the front there, Pascal Julien. 2 points for Julien in that first sprint. She's languishing in 15th spot in the Omnium at the moment. 46 points on the board. So she really would benefit from a lap gain if she could get involved in that action. Of course, the 20 points that go with it. But I think these riders, particularly those dominating the top 5 places in the women's Omnium, will be very watchful indeed for any breakaway moves. Kirsten Wild impassive there behind those tinted sunglasses. She's riding on the road outside today, she would need them. Beautiful sunny skies over Paris to welcome its first ever hosting of a World Cup event. Of course, this velodrome here opened just ahead of its hosting of the World Championships. Great pleasure to be here doing the venue commentary back in 2015. And of course, the Europeans followed a year later. This venue also has a BMX track outside. I've seen championship action for the BMX racing as well. This Isle of France, located just about 20k to the west of Paris. So golf course has hosted the Ryder Cup Ryder Cup golf matches in recent years as well. So there's a great focus on cycling. It's been named as a cycling city by the UCI. Of course, will be one of the focal points for cycling the 2024 Olympic Games when they come to Paris. So the first significant advantage gained here are the rider who's gone off on her own at the head of the race. 63 laps still to go, 3 away from the first sprint. A rider who is looking to try and gain an advantage here is the Austrian. It's Verena Eberhardt. 46 points scored so far for Eberhardt and 14th place. But if she could gain the lap, that would get her 20 points and propel her up the standings. Look behind here, once again from wide to the front of that main field. But Eberhardt, a little glance across the track. No concerted chase yet, while that moves up into third spot in the main field. But it's going to be Eberhardt for 5 points on the line this time. The gap is closing rapidly in the battle for second. But a good 5 point scored for Verena Eberhardt. Second for Nia Evans, third for Kirsten Wild, fourth for Letizia Paternoster. Those riders in the top 4 places, all picking up points in that scoring opportunity. Second of the sprints, 60 laps to go. 59 laps remaining. So Wild maintains her lead, 117.7 to the good, ahead of Paternoster. And Evans now in third place for Great Britain. 58 laps to go. Once again, that attacking move from Eberhardt that brought her that sprint victory has now been neutralised by the chasing peloton. They're all back together in one sizable group here as they come once again into the finishing straight. They will see 57 laps to go on the lap board this time, 7 away from the next sprint. So 1:17 for Wild, 1:10 for Paternoster, 1:01 for Evans. There's the 3 riders in triple figures in the Omnium scoring at the moment. Olivia Balasaita of Lithuania, the next best on 93, and then a bigger gap to a former world road champion, Amelie Didriksen of Denmark, with 86 points in 5th place, and then Christina Klonen of Australia is 6th with 84, 2 ahead of Evgenia Augustinas of the Russian Federation, 7th with 82, then 10 points behind her, Ina Savenka of Belarus. Raquel Sheath in 9th, and Shannon McCulley of Ireland is 10th. That's the top 10 in the leaderboard in this final element of the women's Omnium. Once again, the riders moderating the pace. You can always tell when the pace is slackened. They go from being one long line in the well of the track to being across the full width of the track and occupying a higher position. No one wanting to lead anyone else out here, of course. All representing individual nations and teams. You can qualify just one rider into the Omnium. And a big attack here as we get ever closer to the next sprint. And the roar goes up here in the Velodrome National, because it is the rider from France who has gone on the attack. Pascale Jurland needs the point. She's 15th, only 48 points on the board. She is looking for 5 on the line here. She is the head of the race. The chaser a quarter of a lap behind. New Zealand at the front of the chasing group for Raquel Sheath. But Pascale Jurland, to the delight of the French crowd, has got 1 lap to go to the 5 points that will be delivered with victory in this sprint. Once again, though, the riders begin to pay more attention for the minor placings in the battle for the medal honours. And Jurland will do well to stay away here. She's being closed down very rapidly indeed here by Nia Evans of Great Britain. She's actually beaten on the line, not only by Nia Evans of Great Britain, but also by Letizia Paternoster of Italy. So Jurland is caught on the line by Evans for 5, Paternoster for 3, Jurland gets 2, and Andrea Wilders of Switzerland for 1 point. 49 laps to go. Well, a very valuable 5 point score there for Nia Evans. Gives her 3rd place, broadened her advantage. Still only those top 3, Kirsten Wild, Letizia Paternoster and Nia Evans, with more than 100 points scored. So the gap has opened there between Paternoster and Evans. Only a small gap though between Paternoster in 2nd and Wild as your still race and Omnium leader. 117 points for Weil. She didn't score in the most recent sprint. So 4 points separates Weil from Paternoster. 7 points separating Paternoster from Evans. Once again, all back together. It really is a battle of minds as much as pace here, particularly amongst those riders who are still in contention for the overall victory. Little attacking move here from Spain. And Isabiaga, 13th place for her at the moment, just 52 points on the board. Saw her countryman Albert Torres win the men's Omnium yesterday. It's a tall order for Spain to repeat the feat here in the women's Omnium, but the world champion Kirsten Wild still looking good, but only 4 points ahead of Paternoster. So the next few sprints will be key to the outcome of this one, I think. Once again, we've got a rider who's gone off the front of the race. So the riders watching this little attacking move develop. We're 3 laps away from the sprint. So a lone leader being chased down. Second spot here, then a bigger gap to a rider who has got a couple of bike lengths clear of the front of the main field as well. Oh, breathing hard there is rider with number 41 on her back, who's just been caught up there at the front of the race. That was Yue Luo, propping up the Omnium standings with 4 points. So plenty of advice being offered by the team managers there in the back straight. The riders very well aware of how closely fought this final element of the women's Omnium will be. And with that, we see another attacking move here to try and secure points. Once again, it'll be closely contested on the line. And I think we're going to see points picked up by Amelie Didriksen of Denmark. They're ahead of Zhali Liu of China, Rena Eberhardt of Austria for 3rd, and Anna Narina of the Ukraine in 4th place. So none of the favourites managing to pick up points there. Didriksen, the best place of those riders picking up points. She's 5th with 91. So still a big gap to close here for Didriksen, and no change at the top of the leaderboard, with none of the top 4 scoring in that most recent sprint. So as the laps tick away, the opportunity for 20 points on a lap gain become slightly more remote. And it will come down to a battle just for the intermediate sprint and the final double point sprint as well. So Kirsten Wild still leads the women's Omnium. Still that 4-point advantage ahead of Italy's Letizia Paternoster. Brittany Evans in 3rd with 106. She's 4th rider in your picture at the moment. That is the head of the race. Those little attacks, little attacking moves we saw once again snuffed out by the chase from the main field. Ship is steadied once more, and the favourites take up position towards the front of the race. Christina Klein of Australia, 84 points in 6th place for her. But it's not long before we see the next attack, and once again it looks like France, who are looking to try and fire their rider up the road once again. She won a sprint earlier, or tried to. She was actually denied on the line, and got no better than 3rd, but Pascal Juland chancing her arm once more. Is about to be joined by the rider from the Czech Republic here. That's Jarmila Machikova. No threat to the top of the table, just 20-point score for Machikova. So those are the 2 riders at the head of the race now. A sizable gap then to the main field. Little glance behind here from Machikova. Juland sitting on her wheel. Once again, though, with 3 to go to the next sprint, the main field begin to pay a little bit more attention now. And it's Australia anchoring the front of that leading group. Weil is there, so to Evans of Great Britain. Paternoster of Italy is a little further down, so she'll need to be very watchful indeed of Nia Evans. Looks like the leaders will be caught by at least 2 chasers here. So a 5-rider leading group now, with 1 lap to go to the sprint. As the bell tolls for these riders, and have 30 laps to go this time. Field once again begin to lift the pace. And the rider who may well profit for this once again is Nia Evans of Great Britain. Here she comes. Can she get the 5? Not quite, but she got the 3. Nia Evans on the line for 3 points. Well, that was a wise move there from Evans. She left it late, but she knew Paternoster was stranded further down the line. Ballasiter got the 5, but Evans got the 3, Jørlin for 2, Stenberg of Norway for 1 point. So at the top of the leaderboard, Kirsten Wild failing to score in that sprint, but she still has to lead. It's still 4 points ahead of Letizia Paternoster. However, Nia Evans of Great Britain has drawn closer. She is now just 4 points behind Paternoster in 3rd place. Ballasiter in 4th on 98. 28 laps remaining. 3 sprints to go. Total of 20 points available from sprint wins alone. Failing a lap gain, which as we get towards the end of this race is looking increasingly unlikely. We've seen no rider gain more than a quarter of a lap advantage. They have been riders who've not represented a danger to the overall lead of those riders at the top of the leaderboard. Kirsten Wild, Letizia Paternoster, Nia Evans, Olivia Ballasiter and Amelie Diedrichsen, the top 5 placed riders currently. Belarusian here, Ina Savenka, lying 8th with 72 points. Comes to the front of the peloton, however briefly. Coach, their arms outstretched, saying, come on, there's gaps to be closed there if you're going to score points. That was Belgium casting an anxious glance at the fortunes of their rider there. Annelies Dom, Belgium, down in 20th place. To ease out of single figures. As once again, 2 riders gaining an advantage here, but there is the focus on the riders at the top of the standings. Paternoster realised her mistake last time. She allowed Evans to gain the advantage. Watched to go ahead, catch that leading group and come through to take 2nd place in the 3 points. And that has narrowed the deficit of Evans in 3rd to Paternoster in 2nd to just 4 points, with 3 away from the next point scoring opportunity. So Letizia Paternoster of Italy now comes to the front of the main field. Kirsten Wild in 2nd place in the chasing group for the Netherlands. So those 2 riders at the front sweep up some points. 2 riders at the head of the race. Not going to affect the overall standings at the moment, but they are guaranteed the points on the line this time. The question is, can they then go on to gain a lap at the end of it? Still a sizable gap, and the main fielder picks up the pace now, looking for the 3rd and 4th place respectively in the sprint. But across the line for 5 that time is Jiali Yu of China and Kwaju Jiang of Hong Kong, China. Gets 2nd place with 3. Kirsten Wild for the Netherlands for 2, and Letizia Paternoster for 1. So that's the first time Wild has scored in recent sprints. 2 points will make the gap between her and 2nd place Paternoster now 1 point more in favour of the world champion. 119 now for Wild, 114 for Paternoster. Evans of Great Britain failing to score that time, but Paternoster got the 1 point. So again, the battle for the silver and bronze medals being played out between Letizia Paternoster and Nia Evans. Sees the gap for Paternoster now 5 points, the similar gap between Paternoster and Wild for gold. We're down to 17 laps to go in this intriguing battle for the women's Omnium final here on the final day of action, round 1 of the Tissot UCI Track Cycling World Cup, live for you this afternoon from the Velodrome National in Saint Quentin Eveline, just outside Paris. And it really is building towards a very exciting finale here. 16 laps to go. Again, the main protagonists, those who are looking for overall victory, are watching each other rather than the rider at the front of the race, and that gives the opportunity for a breakaway to persist with the move. It's seen rider from Hong Kong, China, Zhangyu Yang, who we saw take second place in the sprint. That's the 20 lap to go marker. She's still 21st, she's still got 9 points, so she's flying the flag for Hong Kong, China. Of course, orientated medal success with Wanzhou Li in the women's sprint yesterday. It's, the main field just allowing Yang to sit out at the front here while they watch each other more and more closely. 14 to go, 1 kilometre away from the penultimate sprint in this women's points race final. And now the main field begin to reel in the escapees. And we begin to see the attacking move. Once again, it is Julin of France. She's still 15th, she's still got 52 points, but the roar of the crowd here in the Saint Quentin Eveline Stadium is enough to see her come to the front of the race and overhaul Yang of Hong Kong, China. So it's Julin who's on course here for another 5 points, but we focus our attention very much in the battle for the minor placings. Looking for Nia Evans, looking for Letizia Paternoster, and looking for Kirsten Wild. But here comes Julin with 1 lap to go to the sprint. So Julin looking to try and fly the flag here for the home nation. Once again, the riders challenging for the overall here. Look as though they'll fail to pick up points in this penultimate sprint. Julin for the 5 points for France. Stenberg of Norway for 3. Yang of Hong Kong, China for 2. And Savenka of Belarus for 1 point. So the top of the leaderboard is unchanged. And that is the all-important points scoring scenario, because we've just got 1 sprint to go. It's for double points. There you go. Kirsten Wild, 119 points. Not yet safe, because Letizia Paternoster is just 5 points behind, 114 points. And just 5 points behind Paternoster, Nia Evans of Great Britain with 109. Olivia Balasaita of Lithuania won't be able to upset those medal standings, so the medals will be contested by those top 3 riders, Weil, Paternoster and Evans. But who will get which medal? It'll come down to the final sprint for the line. There's no prospect now of any rider gaining a lap. Those main protagonists won't allow that to happen. And they're watching each other like hawks. There you see Evans almost riding into the rider from China there as she looked across at Paternoster, her challenger. And Wild, the world champion, those rainbow bands picked up earlier this year in the World Championships in Apeldoorn. She would love to add victory in the first Omnium competition in the World Cup for 2018-2019. That 5-point buffer is reasonably comfortable for Wild, as we see going off the front. Anna Naurina of Ukraine, she's in the 13th place with 55 points. So even if she has to win that final sprint, she would not threaten the overall. The Czech rider also goes on the attack as well. But we're focusing very much our attention on Nia Evans of Great Britain in 3rd, Letizia Paternoster of Italy in 2nd, and Kirsten Wild of the Netherlands, the leader of the race, the rider in the rainbow jersey, the world champion. The laps are ebbing away here. 3 laps to go. Who of those 3 will be able to gain the advantage? No one being allowed to escape here. No one wants to lead anyone else out. It is still locked together. The pace has slackened absolutely almost to a standstill here. And it's Paternoster of Italy who's starting to make the move. Nia Evans will realise this is a dangerous move here for Paternoster. Wild is on her wheel. Kirsten Wild in 2nd place here to Paternoster. Paternoster, the only rider who will yet count in this sprint. but here comes Wild. She's outpaced Paternoster. She's into the scoring position here. It looks like Kirsten Wild, with 1 lap to go to the sprint, is about to make her way through the leaders here. Wild up into 3rd place here. Paternoster on her wheel. The riders who have lost out is Nia Evans of Great Britain. She's making a move now, and she's left it very late indeed. Wild from Paternoster. This looks like the 1-2 here in the Omnium points race. Wild, I think, will take 2nd place in that sprint, and that will be enough to give her victory. Well, she took a 5-point advantage into that final run to the line ahead of Letizia Paternoster. Kirsten Wild begins the celebration. The world champion is the winner of the Omnium, 125 points. 2nd place in that sprint. Paternoster got 4th and 2. That cemented her 2nd place in the standings in the silver medal. 116 points for Paternoster. And that late charge from Nia Evans was just a little bit too late for the rider from Great Britain. And she will finish on the podium, however, with the bronze medal in 3rd place for Great Britain with 109 points. So, a great battle in the women's Omnium. There's the final sprint. Kirsten Wild knew that the double point score, 6 points she got, was enough. Paternoster just denied 3rd place by Zhali Liu of China, but it didn't matter. In the final countback, Kirsten Wild exchanging warm greetings with the silver medalist there, Letizia Paternoster. And a good performance too for Great Britain and Nia Evans, her 2nd medal of this World Cup. 3rd place for Great Britain. Olivia Balasaita 4th for Lithuania, and the Russian Federation finishing in 5th place with Evgenia Augustinas. Well, the competition progressing through the afternoon here in this final day of the Tissot UCI Track Cycling World Cup for 2018-2019. And still, well, we're still waiting for confirmation, I should tell you, of the men's Madison. That battle we saw earlier, as you look back once again at the final action, the conclusion of the women's points race. So I think we can now confirm the results of the men's Madison final. It took a long time to nail it down, but I can tell you, you can see they're celebrating victory. Was Denmark with Lasse Norman Hansen and Mikkel Morkov. Poland got 2nd in the men's Madison. Australia, a photo finish with Great Britain, confirmed as the bronze medalist in 3rd place for Australia and 4th spot for Great Britain. So just missing out on the medal. They are 2 points behind Australia in 4th place. 5th for Spain on 14. And 6th for Germany with 8 points scored. So Denmark are finally able to say we are the Madison champions. More of that later when the riders come to the podium to receive their medals, but we need to refocus our attention now on the men's sprint competition. We have reached the finals of this. There will be 2 finals. Best of 3 for each course. The final for the bronze medal, first of all, and then the final for the gold and silver. So the bronze medal will be contested between Maciej Zaorczyk of Poland and Jeffrey Hoogland, the European sprint champion for the Netherlands. And that will be the first final on the track. And then the gold and silver medal final will be played out between another Dutchman, Harry Laverison, and the world champion from Australia, Matthew Clayton. So the bronze medal final, best of 3, first to come to the track. Maciej Zaorczyk just securing the shoe pedal interface there, the clipping cleats, backed up with Velcro straps as well, when that muscle-searing burst of power is applied. It's a rider detach the foot from the pedal in the elimination race, the men's Omnium, yesterday. The sprinters in particular take great care to make sure that those feet are fully secured in the pedal. So they come to the line. It is Hugeland on the inside in the jersey of the European champion. His opponent from Poland on the outside is Maciej Rudzik. And Rudzik, great 8th final win over Matthias Buckley to make his progress in the sprint competition. Then went on to overcome Britain's Joseph Truman in the quarters. Then just lost out to Harry Laverson, hence his place here in the bronze medal final. Jeffrey Hugeland, well, he lost out in that semi-final to the man we'll see in the final, the world champion Matthew Gleitzer. Previously in the competition, Hugeland had overcome New Zealander Sam Webster. Webster actually getting his place in the competition, much to the annoyance of the French crowd here when their man Gregory Bourget was eliminated, relegated from the competition for an indiscretion in one of the very early rounds of racing, giving Webster the victory. But here we are now at the last maximum three opportunities to decide the medals. The bronze medal final between Maciej Rudzik of Poland in the white and red at the top of the track, and the man in the European champions jersey from the others, Jeffrey Hugeland. Hugeland, the lower position on the track, beginning to start to lift the pace here, pushing his opponent higher up the track, leaving the door open though for the sprinters line, and Rudzik says, yep, I'm going to have that. Then he thinks better of it and comes back up again. So once again, the positions were contested, but it is Rudzik who has got the advantage here off the penultimate banking as they come into the final two corners here. Hugeland's going to come around the outside. He's got a good closing speed here. Hugeland, has he got it on the line? Yes, he has. Well, Rudzik went quite early there. He attacked, first of all, took the sprinter's line, then decided to go back up the track, and that may have cost him that. If he committed to that move and outpaced Hugeland earlier in that exchange, he may well have just hung on, but it was advantage for Hugeland in the first encounter in the battle for the bronze medal. There you see the side view, and here you see the head-on view. And Rudzik grits his teeth, launches his bike at the line, but the advantage for Hugeland on his outside is enough to give the man from the Netherlands one match to the good in the battle for the bronze medal. So we move to the gold and silver medal final, match number one in this one. World champion Matthew Gleitzer, with the rainbow bands proudly displayed. You see the cuff of his jersey there in our television pictures. And those rainbow bands you get to wear for the rest of your racing career in the discipline in which you became world champion. Taking that title in Apeldoorn earlier this year at the World Championships. The Australian, and his opponent from the Netherlands, coincidentally, is Harry Laverson in the familiar colours of the Dutch nation, the orange and black. Laverson getting the better of Maximilian Levy in the early qualification stage of this competition today. Laverson himself is a world champion for the team sprint, and also a European team sprint champion as well. Second in the World Sprint Championships back in 2017 in Hong Kong. So this is going to be a good battle here between a former silver medalist and the current gold medalist in the World Sprint Championships. Great deal of respect will be paid between both of these riders as our phalanx of press photographers gather there to capture the money shot when the winner crosses the line. Measured start, as you would expect. Laverson there. Just seeing the riders through the trackside fence here. Neither have yet taken to the actual racing surface, just rolling around what we call the Côte d'Azur. That's that blue band at the bottom of the track. And should they venture onto that part of the track when the sprint is underway and their opponent is below the sprinter's line, then they'll suffer pain of relegation. We saw that happen in one of the earlier rounds of racing. So our commissaires, in particular the judge arbiter who sits on corner one looking down at the finishing straight. There's the man on this occasion, a man who is the judge of the rules of sprinting and applies those penalties when he sees them occur on the track. So very watchful indeed, no more so than the world champion Matthew Glaetzer. He's allowed Hoogerland a couple of lengths advantage here. I should say Harry Laverson, of course. Hoogerland was the Dutch rider in the bronze medal final. Just testing your powers of memory there. Mine too. But Glaetzer begins to unwind, but he's got a gap to close here. He's using the height of the track to his advantage, and Laverson doesn't quite know whether to launch his attack or not. Now he goes, but Glaetzer begins to close the gap here. 1 lap to go at the bell. It is Laverson for the Netherlands ahead of Glaetzer of Australia. The world champion is closing in on Laverson, but it's still a gap yet to close. They're coming into corner 3 over the final banking and into the finishing straight. This looks like Laverson will take it. The world champion has lost that opening encounter. Well, he gave Laverson an awful lot of distance there. I thought Glaetzer was playing a very dangerous game indeed, and so it proved to be. And look at that, our official mascot is pointing at the track and saying, look, the world champion has been outdone by the team sprint champion in the world championships. Harry Laverson gritting his teeth literally as he crossed the line, and Glaetzer, well, he launched himself at that back wheel of Laverson, but it was to no avail in the first match. And Laverson takes first blood in the gold and silver medal best of 3. Much to the delight of our official mascot. It must be quite warm this afternoon here in the balmy conditions being enjoyed both inside and outside of the Velodrome National here in Saint-Quentin, Yvelines. So that sprint competition will continue a little bit later on this afternoon. More highlights for you, though, of the action here to come later on. Just whet your appetite. We've got action from the men's team sprint and the women's team sprint to come. Those, of course, contest on day 1 of these competitions. Also, the men's and women's team pursuit and the women's Madison. So if you've missed out on any of those, we'll have edited highlights of those. But the live action next to come to the track will be in the women's Keirin. And we're at the finals stage for this one. Nikki de Grandella riding on this occasion for the Beat cycling team. She is a world champion for Belgium. There is the current world champion. Just adjusting the visor on her helmet as she readies herself. She's drawn the outside position here in this lineup in the women's Keirin. And the hand signal there from our starter is to indicate to our Derny bike that the riders are ready to roll. So here comes the Derny bike. And the riders roll away. They're obliged to take a position behind that Derny in the starting order that they drew when they drew lots. Nikki de Grandella from Belgium, Yuka Kobayashi of Japan, Ryo Uta of Japan as well, Loreen van Riesen of the Netherlands, Natasha Hansen of New Zealand, and Ursula Loss of Poland are the riders involved in this one. De Grandella will start as one of the favourites. Pace gradually being incremented lap by lap as the Derny engine note is a giveaway that the speed is beginning to increase. Partially human powered, of course, the Derny pacer pedalling and also regulating the throttle of the motor as well as the distinctive sound and smell of the Derny, which is one of the real characteristics of this race. Fills the velodrome here in Paris. And as he leaves the track, it's Natasha Hansen of New Zealand, who is just placed at the front here. The Japanese rider from the Dream Seeker team is Yuka Kobayashi. That's one of our trade teams here. And the fellow countrywoman riding for Japan is Ryo Hata, carrying a warning from one of the previous rounds of the competition. Beginning to accelerate now. World champion moves up into third place here. Nikki Grandella, the world champion for Belgium, on the wheel of the rider from New Zealand, Natasha Hansen, who's going to try and make the way around the outside. De Grandella's still got herself work to do here, but she comes through, so the world champion, Nikki De Grandella, will be confirmed as the winner of the first heat in the second round of the women's Keirin, beating Natasha Hansen of New Zealand in second place and Loreen van Riesen of the Netherlands into third. So those three will take the first three places in the finals for places 1 through 6 later on. The first three from heat number 2 in the second round will join them, and the losing three from each of the second round heats will go into the 7th to 12th place final. Will that make sense to you? But certainly De Grandella, Hansen and Van Riesen are the first to stake their claim for a battle for the medals here this afternoon for the women's Keirin. See the replay there of De Grandella crossing the line, securing victory. Always a great boost to a rider when you are contained within that world champions jersey. And Nikki De Grandella taking full advantage of that, securing the win in the first match. Here's the lineup for the second. Stephanie Morton, Tilda Gross, Leah Sophie Friedrich, a rider you really do want to keep your eye on. She is a junior rider. In fact, she took the gold medals and world championships in the junior worlds in Aigle in Switzerland at the beginning of August. And she is a real talent, let me tell you. She took the sprint, she took the Keirin, and she took the time trial goals at the junior world championships, being drafted in to the senior team here for this first round of the World Cup, and she has made it into the second round of the Keirin. A real prospect, and of course the German team still really believing that they've lost a rider, the incredible talents of Christian Vogel, who, as I'm sure you're well aware now, involved in a very nasty crash early part of the year, training on the Tracking Cup bus, and sadly we will never see Christian Vogel on a bike, or indeed, I believe, on foot again, and well, a world and Olympic champion. But she has got a very worthy successor potentially here in Leah Sophie Friedrich, who will be flying the flag for Germany in the second heat of this women's Keirin second round. Simona Kupa-Kaita of Lithuania, gritting her teeth as well. We've got the Italian here. Sorry, the rider from the Rus Velo team. Similar colours to Italy. Quick glance at the screen. But that is the Rus Velo trade team from the Russian Federation. And that is Daria Shmaleva. Shmaleva herself is part of Team Sprint winning duo with her fellow countrywoman Anastasia Voinova, European Team Sprint champions. And Shmaleva was the bronze medalist in the European Keirin in Glasgow. So this for a place in the major final to meet De Grandella, Hansen and Van Riesen. It is Leah Sophie Friedrich of Germany. Remember, she is still a junior rider in the lead position here. Being tracked around the boards of the Velodrome National here by Daria Shmaleva. Stephanie Morton of Australia bringing up the rear. Hong Kong, China have YG Lee, already the sprint champion. So she would dearly love to add the Keirin title to that sprint she won here yesterday. And the top 3 place in here in this second heat would help her in that cause. She's currently in 4th spot, looking behind. And now the attacks begin, but on the front it is Leah Sophie Friedrich of Germany. Shmaleva comes to the front, European bronze medalist with a lap to go. The Lithuanian Simona Krupa-Kaita now at the middle of this group, and Li Weiji of Hong Kong, China in the slightly lighter blue sleeves that are just at the top of the track. There is Morton, leaves her attack late as well. Stephanie Morton trying to come around the outside. Across the line, it's a blanket finish for that one with Krupa-Kaita and Shmeleva and Weiji Li and Stephanie Morton all vying for the top 3 places. And did Weiji Li get it from Krupa-Kaita? I think she did, and I think the rider who lost out there was Stephanie Morton. Let's take another look at this one. Well, we've got the view across the track there. You can see Weiji Li of Hong Kong, China is the rider who gets the decision there. And don't worry, we have cameras elsewhere if you're thinking we rely on that to place the others, who of course are concealed from our view by Weiji Li, but transponder and camera technology, plus the keen eye of our judges, all brought to bear to bring us the results here, courtesy of Tissot. As you look at the head-on view here, it is the rider third from the right of your screen, Weiji Li, who just gets that from Krupa-Kaita, a very close second for Krupa-Kaita, and Shmeleva gets third. So those are the 3 who will join De Grandella, Hansen and Van Riesen in the final. Weiji Li, Simona Krupa-Kaita and Daria Shmeleva take the first 3 places in Heat 2 of the women's Keirin second round. So that final will be played out a little bit later on. It'll be amongst the final competitive action on the track here this afternoon for this final session of racing here at round 1 of the Tissot UCI Track Cycling World Cup. And the men's sprint will continue a little later, but we're going to take you back to some highlights now, as we promised a little bit earlier. It will be the highlights, first of all, of the men's team pursuit, which took place on day 1 of these championships. And the first battle is the one for the bronze medal, and that'll be contested between a British-based team, the Hub Watt Bike Test Team, with some very distinctive headwear. You perhaps notice for the team of the Hub Watt Bike Test Team, represented by John Archibald, brother of Katie Archibald, of course, Dan Bigham, Harry Tanfield, brother of Charlie Tanfield, and Jonathan Whale. They're the 4 members of the team who've previously been Team KGF over the last couple of seasons. New colours, new sponsor, and same riders for the Hub Watt Bike Test Team here. Their opponents are Italy, represented by Michele Scottazzini, Liam Batanzo, Filippo Ganna and Francesco Lamont. And already the team of Hub Watt Bike Testing have lost their first rider. Shrug there from the team director. So what's going on here? And I can tell you the gap is already 2.355 seconds in favour of Italy. So all kinds of problems here for the Hub Watt Bike Test Team. And despite wind tunnel testing, super aerodynamic helmets, those very special handlebars as well, all designed to give the riders a very maximum advantage. At the end of the day, it is down to the performance of the 4 riders who take the start, working as a well-gelled unit. And the Hub Watt Bike Test Team lost the first rider from their lineup very, very rapidly indeed. Time is taken on the 3rd rider across the line, so they have to finish all 3 of those riders. But the gap you can see denoted by the red band on our graphic at the bottom of the screen there. The red band, it stretches towards the team who are behind, so that is the advantage for Italy. 1.933 at this stage of the competition. Is looking as though Italy are going to be the unchallenged winners of the bronze medal here in the men's team pursuit. And it all comes down to a very, very poor start to the race by the Hub Watt Bike Testing. They fall behind very quickly and could not regain the ground. And so Italy take the bronze medal. 2.311 was the deficit for the Hub Watt Bike Test Team. Well, maybe it was just a test for them, but they would have gone into that with a very good hope of trying to take the bronze medal. Great performance in the earlier rounds, but finishing that final for the bronze 2 seconds slower than their qualification time in the earlier rounds of the competition. And so we move on to the battle for the gold and silver medals. And starting in the home straight, the team who posted the fastest time in qualification, the team of Denmark, represented by Julius Hansen, Lasse Norman Hansen, Rasmus Pedersen and Kasper von Falsack. And their opponents are the team of Great Britain, Oliver Wood, Mark Stewart Ed Clancy and Kian Amadi. And look at this start for Great Britain. Clancy was the man out of the gate, and he's looking behind to see where the rest of the Great Britain team is. Well, another disastrous start here in a medal final here at this World Championship. This time it's beset the Great Britain team. All kinds of disarray there. The coach Ian Dyer holding his arms out on the side of the track there. Still, the gap is yet to be closed down here by the Great Britain team. Well, this is remarkable from the riders being world and Olympic champions in this discipline, but they are behind the Danes at the moment by 1.509 of a second. And the Danish team are lapping this one up. They have the fastest time in qualification, beating Germany 3:52.661. They were fast in Great Britain in the qualification, and 3:53.353 was the time posted by Great Britain. So the Danes starting with that upper hand, but very poor start indeed for Great Britain. Has played right into the hands of the Danish four riders here as they come through. No sign of Britain's crossing the ride now. They've got themselves back into the correct formation, but is it too late? 2.098 seconds is the deficit for Great Britain to try and make up on the Danes, and that is a very tall order indeed for the British team to try and get back at this very strong Danish outfit indeed. Also, all four riders for both teams driving the pace here. Of course, Ed Clancy, the powerhouse of Great Britain, he was first away from line, almost first on his own at that start of Great Britain. Really has been the key to this disadvantage. It's now more than 3 seconds behind for Great Britain as the Danes continue to turn the screws here. Well, the Danish team looking extremely well drilled indeed, very, very smooth indeed. The progress being made by the Danish riders. It won't be long before they have the sights of the Great Britain team in the same straight, 3.690. There's the face of the Great Britain coach, Ian Dye. Looks impassive there, but I'm sure there's going to be a considerable conversation to be had amongst the Great Britain team for what went wrong with the performance of the ride here for the gold and silver medal. They will take the silver even if they lose out to Denmark. It's looking more and more likely here. But they would have been very much favourites to try and take the bronze. But look at this, the gap here is almost closed down by Denmark. They're on the way to gold here. Great Britain have lost the third rider as well. Well, they're compounding the grief here for Great Britain. The time is taken on the third rider, and he's got a gap for the other two, as Denmark are going to make that irrelevant anyway, because they're going to catch the British team. 5.98 seconds, and when the catch was made, 6.790. Well, a consolatory slap there on the shoulder from a member of the Danish team for one of the sure to be very disappointed British riders. That was not a great performance from Team Great Britain. They take the silver medal, but they would have been hoping for a much more convincing performance there. Ed Clancy, Kian Amadi, Stephen Berg, and Ollie Wood. Let's hear from
these guys. Started off great with a new Danish record and a win today, so yeah, let the rest come at us.
Well, indeed, let them come out as they head for the next round of the World Cup in Milton in just a week's time over in Canada. Meanwhile, let's change our attention from the team pursuit to the team sprint. This is the one contested over 3 very quick-fire laps of the track. Again, the riders starting in the gates. And again, there's interest here for Great Britain in this men's team sprint in the battle for the bronze medal. They're taking on Russian Federation. Great Britain represented by Ryan Owens, Jack Collin and Joseph Truman. And Russian Federation by Pavel Yakushevsky, Denis Dimitrov, former world champion for the sprint, of course, and Shane Perkins. Yes, Shane Perkins, the Australian, is riding for the Russian Federation. Don't ask why, but he's changed his allegiances from Australia to Russian Federation, and he's here to try and win them a bronze medal. Well, the gap being closed down, the space that the lead rider leads for the next rider to take up shows the advantage just marginally for Britain by 0.064 of a second here. Still ever so close as we go into the final lap here. Russian Federation versus Great Britain for the bronze medal. Still nothing to choose between, just 0.03 of a second, 300ths of a second as they go into the final run towards the line. And here we go. Who is going to take the honours, the final crossing of the line? So Russian Federation ahead of Great Britain in the final for the bronze medal. It's close right up into the final few moments of that one. And let's move on to the gold and silver medal final. And we see lining up for this one a cross-section of jerseys. in the Dutch team. That's because they have got the world champion and the European champion in this discipline. That's the team of the Netherlands, represented by Roy van den Berg, Geoffrey Hugeland and Sam Lickley. And their opponents are France, represented by Gregory Borges, Sébastien Vigier and Michael Dalmeida. So the battle for gold and silver in the men's team sprint. And it was just a tenth of a second between them in qualification earlier today in favour of the Dutch team here. 254 Roy van den Berg, the European champion here. And Geoffrey Hugeland and Sam Lickley in line behind. The lead rider will swing off. Next one will take over. European gives way to world champion for the Dutch. And in the back straight, the French team here being roared on by the home crowd. As Gregory Bourget rode the opening lap, he's leaving Vigier and Dalmeida to bring this one to a conclusion. It will be Vigier, he'll swing off this time and leave Michael Dalmeida to ride this one. His opponents for the team on the other side of the track, Sam Lickley for the Netherlands, who's going to take victory here. 0.633 separate them in favour of the Dutch team, and on the line it is victory for the Netherlands. 42.939, beating France by 0.697 of a second. So gold for the Netherlands, silver for France, and bronze for the Russian Federation in the men's team sprint. There's the podium.
Ladies and gentlemen,
European world champions and Sam Lickley, the national colours of the Netherlands. France in second place and the Russian Federation in third received the medals. And here's
we
it.
got what I want. It was a big team performance, and we are really happy to start the season with the gold medal.
So there you heard, they were very happy indeed to start the season with a gold medal, and as well they might have been. More highlights for you, this time of the women's Madison race that we saw yesterday as well. If you've been with us during our live commentary this afternoon, you'll have seen the men's version of this Madison race. This is the women's Madison that was contested on the boards here last night. And the Danish combine start as strong favourites for this one. They have Emily Diedrichsen, who is the former world road champion, also a champion of the track as well. Very significant action here at the head of the race. So the advantage gained, heading for the 50 lap to go sprint. We've moved to about the halfway point in this Madison. And here is Australia heading for potential point score. Needs to be watchful as well for lap gains, of course, which carry a 20-point advantage. So through the line they go. With Australia, Denmark, France, Great Britain. The order across the line there. 5 for Australia, 3 for Denmark, 2 for France, 1 for Great Britain. So Great Britain have the lead, 11 for them, 8 for Denmark, 5 for Australia, 4 points for Italy. Let's take it forward now to the next sprint. This is getting very intriguing indeed, as who can notch up the points. It's very, very close to the top of the leaderboard. And Team 13 of the Ukraine are on the front here, looking for maximum points. That's Anna Narina and Oksana Klachina. They'll take out the maximum point score. Australia of Georgia Baker and Macy Stewart. So ramping up the points, 38 laps to go. Ukraine, Australia, Ireland, Great Britain, another point for the British. Good score though for Ireland in that run to the line, with Lydia Gurley and Lydia Boylan picking up a good fistful of points in that sprint. Great Britain still the lead though by 4 points as we go deeper into the race. The next sprint at 31 laps to go. And again, there are riders off the front here to pick up the points. And once again, it is the Ukraine who are leading the charge. And the Ukrainians here looking to cement the position and challenge for the medals. It's the sprint 5 of 8, but here comes France versus Russian Federation as well. And the French getting the better of the Russian team across the line there. The rider for France with the red number there is Coralie Demey. So Ukraine for 5, France for 3, Russian Federation for 2, Denmark for 1. And Great Britain still at 2 points ahead of Ukraine. Denmark a further point behind in third. And Australia in fourth. You don't get much closer than that at the top of the leaderboard. We're heading for the 20 lap to go sprint in the women's Madison. Well, could this race come down to the very final sprint? It counts for double points. There goes the British challenge over the top here, and it's Emily Kay of Great Britain here being pursued by the European champions on the line. It is maximum points once again for Great Britain. Denmark gets second, and it was Julie Leth, the rider with the red number, the European champion for Denmark. France for third for 2, Australia fourth for 1. Again, those teams who are vying for victory here score the points. Great Britain, though, open the advantage, 5 points ahead of Denmark with 18 laps to go. 2 sprints remain. The final one is for double points. Oh, and a crash there towards the back. It looked like a rider from the Czech Republic coming down, also a rider from China as well, and the Swiss have also been felled. Well, I think we'll take another look at that one and just look. The Czech Republic rider, she just catches the back wheel of the Australian, has a wobble and brings down the Swiss and also the Hong Kong China rider as well. So catastrophe at the back, but continuing the race at the front with 11 laps to go. And it's a big attack here from the Danes, the European champions. Amelie Dieriksen and Julie Leth are on the attack. They're being pursued by the team of New Zealand here. But Denmark needs to score points ahead of Great Britain here for the challenge for the gold medal. We're coming towards the decision in the 10 lap to go sprint. That is the penultimate sprint, and it is Denmark who get maximum points. That's a key moment to take those points. New Zealand get the 3, Great Britain get 2, and so the gap narrows now between Denmark and Great Britain to just 2 points with 1 double point sprint remaining. This is an absolute nail-biting finale to the women's Madison. It is Denmark being pursued by Great Britain, France in third, then New Zealand, then Australia. One of these teams is going to take the gold medal, but which will it be? It is Denmark and Great Britain. Still a very small advantage for Great Britain, represented by Nia Evans and Emily Kay. But don't underestimate the challenge from Emily Dieriksen and Julie Leth of Denmark. They are the European champions, and they're coming towards the head of the race. The final lap here, the big attacking move from Australia. Well, the late charge here from Baker and Stewart of Australia to try and upset this one. The Australians look as though they're favourites here, but look at this second place for the team of Denmark. Great Britain have been outpaced in this final run to the line. Australia will take maximum points to 10 points in the final score. However, it is going to be Denmark for the 6, and that'll be enough for the gold medal, I think, by the very narrowest margin. In fact, I think you'll find, looking where Great Britain finish in that sprint, they will be level on points in that final sprint now between Denmark and Great Britain. And when it comes down to that, it's the best placed team in the final sprint, and that was Denmark. Amelie Dieriksen and Julie Leth. I bet they're pleased with that one. Let's hear from them very shortly.
It's always nice to race in the jerseys. We don't get so many opportunities, so we're really happy. And then, yeah, to take the win in the jerseys is really amazing. We just need to keep going towards Tokyo. We're off to a good start with the qualifications point, but yeah, we have to go home and train.
Yeah, as you heard from Amelie Dieriksen, this event, of course, as well as being part of the UCI World Cup competition for 2018-2019, carries key qualification points towards World Championship and Olympics as well. And that, of course, is becoming more and more of a focus. 2020 Olympics taking place in Tokyo, in Japan. And, of course, in 2024, we come here to Paris. And indeed, to the Velodrome National here in Saint-Quentin, Yvelines, which will be the home for the Olympic track cycling in 2024. They built this velodrome ahead of their challenge for the Olympics in 2012, which ultimately went to Great Britain. But 2024, 12 years later, it'll be the turn of France to host the Olympic Games here at Saint-Quentin in Italy in 2024. And doubtless we're all looking forward to that one. But it seems a long way away yet, but those Olympic Games do come around very, very quickly indeed. Back live, we're going to take you now to the men's sprint competition. And we are in the second match stage of the men's sprint. And the first will be in the battle for the bronze medal. Right, just tightening the straps there is Jeffrey Hoogland of the Netherlands, European sprint champion. Hence the European sprint champion jersey that he is apparently displaying. First to get to the line though, who's drawn the inside position. The reversal of the order drawn for heat number 1. It's the rider from Poland, Maciej Rudzik. Well, first victory went to Hoogland. Came back at Rudzik, who'd staked his chances in that first match on going away from Hoogland and outpacing him. He grabbed the sprinter's lane, looked to have a sizable advantage. Then he came out and tried to take Hoogland back up the track and lost a little bit of momentum, and Hoogland came back strongly, and hence he was the winner of that one and goes into this one with that one match advantage to his favour. So I'm sure Maciej Rujlik from Poland won't make the same mistake twice. He needs this one to square it and take it to a decider. So very watchful, of course, in the opening skirmishes here. No one wants to give any ground. And Hoogland happy to allow Rujik to have to keep looking behind to try and preempt any attacking move from Hoogland. So the tactical battle, you can almost cut the air with a knife here in the venue at the Velodrome National. The crowd really do appreciate that this is a great battle they're seeing here between these two. We just heard a pin drop, and the man still on the front. Here's the Polish rider, Maciej Rujik. Hoogland, focused. You see the reflection of his handlebars there in that mirrored visor. The little nod to his Dutch heritage there, the orange track mitts. Of course, wearing the European champion jersey. Rujik, this is a very similar position that he found himself to in the first meeting between these. Had the advantage, took the sprinter's line. He waited for Hoogland to come. Once again, Rujik has repeated almost a carbon copy. So will he have any better luck this time? Here comes Hoogland once more. Rujik on the inside, Hoogland on the outside. The Dutch rider's got the further distance to go, but he's got the great pace coming to the finishing straight. It can be Hoogland who's once again beaten Maciej Rujik for pace. Well, I said he wouldn't make the same mistake twice, but that's exactly what Rujik did. Handed that one to the rider from the Netherlands, the European champion, Jeffrey Hoogland, will be in 2 straight rides the winner of the bronze medal. Well, if you take it on from the front like that, as Rujik did on 2 occasions, you've got to be pretty confident you've got the legs to outpace your opponent. And once you're committed inside that sprinter's line and you give it up, you can lose valuable forward momentum. And Hoogland once again pounces, leaves it late, but the greater pace of the Dutchman on the outside here, the left-hand side, as you look at your screen, he's first across the line and seals the victory, the battle for the bronze medal. So no necessity for a decider in that one. What can we tell you about the next one? Well, this is the ride for the gold medal, and the world champion, Matthew Gleitzer, needs to win this one because he was outpaced to the line by Harry Lavrason in the first encounter. Lavrason has got a very impressive turn of pace indeed in the final sprint and used it to absolute maximum advantage to get the better of the world champion. So the rainbow bands resplendent on the jersey of Australia's Matthew Gleitzer, on the inside this time for Gleitzer. Lavrason just stretching those neck muscles. He knows he's going to have to do a bit of looking around here, perhaps, if he finds himself at the front. But he'll do everything within his compass to try and stay behind Gleitzer, obliging the Australian to do the looking backwards, which he's doing as they roll away from the line. It is definitely the advantage to have the lead position, of course, when you cross the finish line, but in the earlier stages, that lead position obliges you to look over your shoulder whilst travelling in a forward direction, looking backwards, trying to preempt any possible move. And you can see Lavrason here trying to throw Gleitzer off the scent, using the full width of the track here, moving up and down, prowling around behind him almost, saying, come on, when do you think I'm going to have a go here? Gleitzer, his head locked in that rearward view of Lavrason, as still the Dutchman toys with the world champion. beginning to take closer order here, but still using the height of the track to his advantage. Laverson draws close to the back wheel of Matthew Glaetzer. Can Glaetzer outpace Laverson this time? Glaetzer's inside the sprint line. Laverson's got a long way to come round. He comes out of the slipstream of Glaetzer as they come in towards the finishing straight. This is going to be another very, very close finish. Here comes Laverson on the outside. Glaetzer on the inside. Oh, and he was so close on the line. But this time, Matthew Glaetzer makes no mistake. And the world champion squares that one and forces the decider. One match all. That is going to be a great final match. Greatly appreciated by the knowledgeable crowd here at the Velodrome National. There you see Glaetzer, I would say about a quarter of a wheel ahead of Laverson on the line, and the hurling of the bike at the finish line, as the very best riders do, to absolute perfection. Try and push your front wheel as far as you go. You see both shoulders go, thrusting the handlebars forward. Glaetzer ahead of Laverson, and that's enough for victory and squaring that match. So that will go to the decider. Bring that to you a little bit later. Can barely wait to see what the outcome of that one will be. But already Geoffrey Hoogland will be celebrating his guaranteed place on the podium as the winner of the bronze medal. So Glaetzer, I think that'll be a little bit of a weight lifted from his shoulders there as he lost out to his opponent in the first encounter, but did absolutely what he needed to do to take the second one and square the series. So, more finals action for you here, live from Paris on this Sunday afternoon. And it is the women's Keirin finals we will bring to you now. Now, the first of which is what we call in the world of track cycling a minor final. It's for places 7th through to 12. And of course, all places count in the UCI World Cup because there are overall rankings for each of the disciplines. And for the World Cup overall as well, there is our Dernier Pacer sitting aboard his machine, astride his machine even, in the back straight. And let us introduce to you the riders for this 7th to 12th place final, as the magnetic visor is snapped into position for Ursula Loss of Poland. Below her, Germany, the junior Leah Sophie Friedrich. And then we see the rider from the Japanese Dream Seeker squad. And that is Yuka Kawabashi. European champion Mathilde Gross from France. For Australia, Stephanie Morton, and the rider on the inside, who will take up position behind the Dernier. Representing the national team of Japan is Ryo Ota. So two riders from Japan represented here. Kobayashi in the dark green colours of the Dream Seeker team, the trade team here from the Japan nation. Their fellow countrywoman, Ryo Ota, in the white and red that you see focused right on her behind the wheel of the Dernier. Stephanie Morton behind her for Australia. Mathilde Gross will be probably getting the loudest cheers of the day here. The French rider, the European champion, taking that title on the boards of the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome in Glasgow just a couple of months ago. Pace gradually winding up. 30 kilometers per hour when the riders pick up the back wheel of that Dernier bike. They'll be doing 50 kilometers per hour when it leaves, with 3 laps to go in the home straight. Acid green colour for the Dernier here. But, as I mentioned earlier in commentary, our purists will be delighted to see it is a combination of human and combustion power rather than the electric Dernier that's pilots and the riders on the track here. And as it leaves the track, we see coming to the head of affairs here is Leah Sophie Friedrich. She's the junior world Keirin champion, as well as the junior sprint champion and the junior 500-meter time trial champion, taking all 3 of those medals at the Junior Worlds in Aigle in Switzerland at the beginning of August. She's down to 2nd place now, as at the front of the race mounting the challenge is Ursula Loss of Poland, but she too has been blown away now by the ride here from Stephanie and Morton. And on Morton's wheel is Yuka Kawabashi of Dream Seeker from Japan. Morton versus Kawabashi. Now here comes Gross of France as the European champion. Left this one too late. This is the battle for places 7th through to 12th in the women's Keirin final. Gross on the outside, but Kawabashi in the middle makes it a victory. So Kobayashi gets 7th place ahead of Matilda Gross, who secures 2nd or 8th place overall. Stephanie Morton 9th. Ursula Loss of Poland in 10th. Leah Sophie Friedrich of Germany in 11th. And Ryo Ota of Japan finishes in 12th. There it is across the line in the middle of that trio of riders battling for the win. It was Yuka Kobayashi of Japan. There is the slow-mo off the final corner. Morton has the advantage there, but Kobayashi's coming fast. So too there is Gross, but Kobayashi in the middle. Again, launches a bike at the line. Morton can't quite get through, gets the 3rd place. And 9th overall in the standings for the women's Keirin. Kobayashi, Gross, Morton, the order for the first 3 in that 7th through to 12th place final. So if that was the minor final, this is very much the major final. It is the battle for the medals and the women's Keirin final. So the riders just making sure they're firmly attached to their bicycle. Helpers will wheel them onto the track. Our Derny pacer, again, takes up his position in the back straight. There's a little chat with 1 or 2 no doubt Derny aficionados who've decided they're going to have that seating location in the back straight so they can see the Derny at close order. Another race that's very popular on the 6-day circuit, of course, the Derny races where the riders race for the whole race behind the Derny, not just for 3 laps. And always a great crowd pleaser in the 6-day competitions. But here are the riders lining up for this final. And your world champion, denoted by the rainbow bands from Belgium, is Nikki de Grandella. So she's enjoying the music that's playing here. It's quite relaxed for de Grandella. Natasha Hansen of New Zealand. For Lithuania, Simona Krupakaita in the vivid yellow and green colours of her home nation. Next in line, the sprint champion already here, Waiji Li of Hong Kong, China, the 3 shades of blue. Lorien van Riesen of the Netherlands, riding for the Beat cycling team. And at the bottom of the track, Daria Shmaleva of the Gazprom Rus Velo team, representing Russian Federation. So 6 laps to decide the women's Keirin winner. The Shmaleva, who takes up position on the wheel of the Derny. Riders have to take up position in the drawn order, and within that first half lap, none of them take the wheel of the Derny. The heat will be brought to a halt and restarted, but they are in the correct order, and all neatly tucked onto the back wheel of that bike as they head around the completion of the opening lap. Beat cycling team, the Netherlands, represented by Lorien van Riesen in the red and white jersey there, the world champion. Nikki de Grandella at the back of the string in the rainbow bands. Just ahead of her is her opponents from New Zealand, Natasha Hansen. 4 laps to go. The engine note gets ever more urgent on board the Derny pacing machine. And Shmaleva looking around, European team sprint champion. She still has Van Riesen for company. Waiji Li of Hong Kong, China, delighted with her sprint victory when we interviewed her at the end of the podium ceremony yesterday. Looking forward to the Keirin, she said. And here she is with the potential to win a medal. She's in 3rd place at the moment as Van Riesen takes the lead. Little battle here as Shmaleva makes sure she keeps 2nd place. Waiji Li is still 3rd. Trying to make sure to get boxed in here as Hansen of New Zealand is being challenged by de Grandella, the world champion, but it's still Van Riesen of the Netherlands on the front. It is still Shmaleva of Gazprom Rus Velo 2nd here. Waiji Li still 3rd. That is still the order. Coming towards the finish line here. Can anyone get through? It's going to be very close to the line. And crashing on the finish line there was the world champion de Grandella. Well, she came down very, very heavily indeed, as you can see. Oh, well, we hope she is okay, but meanwhile at the front of the race, the celebrations for Lorien van Riesen. The fist pump for Van Riesen of the Netherlands. Shmelaeva of Gazprom Roosevelt for the Russian Federation was second, YG Lee was third, Krupa Keirin of Lithuania fourth, Natasha Hansen of New Zealand fifth, but coming a cropper in a desperate bid not to be last in that final was Nikki de Grandella of Belgium. Well, she's being attended to at trackside. Here's a head-on shot of that. You can see de Grandella's in the box here. She's got nowhere to go. She makes contact with YG Lee. The visor flies off. She protects herself. The photographers also do well to get out the way, almost taking our TV cameraman with her as well. That's the danger of standing at trackside in the Keirin races. And absolutely seen there. You can see she might have just made contact with the back wheel of Shmelaeva's bike. Hard to tell from that head-on shot. She certainly got caught up. She knew she was boxed in there. She had to desperately try and make her way through there. You can see it again. Side-on shot. Shmelaeva is half the wheel there, and it was Shmelaeva who was just ahead of the world champion de Grandella. Oh, and however many times you see that, it doesn't get any easier to see, does it? That was a very heavy fall indeed. At absolutely top pace for Nikki de Grandella. The rainbow jersey ripped from her shoulders almost as she came down a trackside. She is still being attended to. There you can see the positions with Van Riesen first across the line, ahead of Shmelaeva, who looked as though she was caught up in that battle with the world champion de Grandella, but Shmelaeva shown as second ahead of YG Lee in third. So another place on the podium for YG Lee. This time it's the bronze medal for the sprint champion from yesterday. Simona Krupa Keirin just finishing outside the medals in fourth place for Lithuania. And the full classification right down to 25th place on the screen for you. As I mentioned, those points are fed into the overall World Cup standings. And of course, it's particularly critical. We've just got literally a handful of days before we all make the journey across to Milton in Canada next weekend for round 2 of the Tissot UCI Track Cycling World Cup. Of course, the velodrome at Milton in Canada hosted around the World Cup last year as well. We make a return for 2018. Quite a few of the teams actually making the journey directly from Paris, maybe via a stopover at some airport just to swap over equipment. I know the Great Britain team in particular, chatting to one of the Great Britain team mechanics on my way here to Paris yesterday. They're a very intensive logistical process that will come into play to make sure that riders, machinery and assistants all get to Canada. One or two of the teams I suspect will be taking the opportunity to shuffle their order and give other riders the chance to perform in Canada before the competition returns to Europe and Berlin at the end of November, the last weekend in November in fact, in Berlin, Germany. Then the final battle in Europe is in London. That's the Olympic Velodrome, the Lee Valley Velodrome in London, from the 14th to the 16th of December for the Great Britain round of the World Cup. And then our final 2 rounds of the competition take us to the other side of the world in early January as we head down to Cambridge in New Zealand for the penultimate round of action, and then make the journey back to Hong Kong. China, of course, the World Championship took place there last year, and we have all round the World Cup in Hong Kong this year. Again, we'll be looking forward to bringing you the very best coverage here of that. I can tell you that Nikki de Grandella can stretch it away here, so all our thoughts are with the world champion. Came to a very, very heavy fall the end of that round. You can see an overhead shot. You can see just how heavy the fall is. It's never good coming off your bike, but not when you're going at absolute maximum velocity and you're surrounded by other riders. And that was a heavy fall indeed. So we wish Nikki de Grandella the very best. So once again, our action replay brings you the teeth-clenching moments as she came to grief in that final run to the line. Looks like Guy Swarbrick, one of our photographers, did well to remain upright as well. A friend of ours, Guy. It's a journey around the world with us to photograph many of our big-time track races. But I did reflect that that is one of the perils of occupying that position on the inside of the track, is that when things go wrong in a Keirin, that run to the line, they go wrong quickly and quite rapidly. So let us once again focus our attention back on the competition here, with the track now having been restored to full functionality. A little bit of a track repair carried out as well following that crash that consumed Nicky de Grandella. It's the men's sprint finals course. That is our next major focus. The crowd here looking down from the spectator seats. Enjoyed 3 great days of track racing to get these 2018-2019 Tissot UCI Track Cycling World Cups to a very good start here. First time that the Velodrome National has hosted a round of the World Cup in its short history. The original idea for the track came in 2008 as part of the Paris bid for what became the London Olympics in 2012, but they were determined to build the velodrome nonetheless, which they did. It was finally commissioned in 2014 and hosted the World Track Championships, which we were here for in 2015, followed by the European Track Championships in 2016. And of course, will finally get its Olympic dream fulfilled when it hosts the track cycling, the Olympics here in Paris in 2024. So the riders, you can see, just trying to get themselves focused here. It's all about getting yourself mentally as well as physically prepared for the battles in these sprints. A slap of the thigh, sometimes a slap of the chest, deep breaths. The riders have got their own particular techniques. They've all got something a little different that they bring to the table. Sometimes trying to out-psych their opponent as well in the process. Riders emit a huge roar as they head away from the start line or ready themselves for the start as well. It really is a tactical battle. And none more so than this one. It is the decider for the men's sprint, the gold and silver medal final. And winner of the first was Harry Laverson, the man you see on your screen there in the orange colours of the Netherlands. Laverson outpaced Gleitzer in the first one. Gleitzer hit back by outpacing Laverson in the second. And so this to decide who will get the gold and who will get the silver. Harry Laverson first to be brought to the track. So the riders have redrawn their starting positions here. So the theoretical advantage, I suppose you could say, is on the side of Harry Laverson, because it is Mathieu Gleitzer of Australia who has drawn the inside position at this time. Both riders favouring to take a position relatively low down the track. There is no defined position where you have to start, provided the inside riders on the inside and the outside is on the outside. Tend to find riders will crowd towards the top of the track if they anticipate a very rapid start to the sprint and trying to get the best advantage into the first of the bankings. And even though most of the tracks that host World Cups are of the same dimension, 250 metres, the actual geometry of tracks can vary. And sometimes tracks have shorter bankings and longer straights. Others have quite short straights and more pronounced bankings, which can tend to favour the sprinters, but it means you have to get away from the line pretty rapidly to avoid coming a cropper. So this, we thought, would be a measured start to this one. It is. It is Gleitzer, the world champion, the rainbow bands, who is on the front. He's all over the track here, as is Laverson. A real battle of wills between these two. The speed battle is yet to come. Glaetzer desperately trying to get the better of Laverson as he launched his sprint in earnest. Now neither is inside the sprint line yet. It is Glaetzer still with the lead, still determined to try and throw Laverson off the set. Now he drops inside the sprint line. It is the world champion. It's Matthew Glaetzer from Australia leading Harry Laverson of the Netherlands towards the finish line. Can Glaetzer get it? Yes, he can. Well, he had a scare in the first match where he was beaten by Harry Laverson, but hits back in the best possible manner and thumps his chest this time in, not just to psych himself up, but to celebrate the victory, as do the Australians here in the crowd, because by 2 matches to 1, Matthew Glaetzer is the winner of the men's sprint here at round 1 of the Tissot UCI Track Cycling World Cup. Well, applauding himself and the crowd for the great support he had, and no doubt there'll be a sporting handshake for his opponent, Harry Laverson as well, who put up a very stern challenge indeed, upsetting the world champion in that first heat where he beat him to the line. But in the final analysis, when it came down to the third and decisive encounter, that victory taken by the world champion, and yet another title, this time the title of champion of the sprint at the World Cup for Matthew Glaetzer. Well, it's very often said that those rainbow bands give you an extra little bit of edge to your performance. We've seen it on the road with Peter Sagan over recent years, and we see it on the track as well quite often, where the world champion, buoyed by being that world champion and having those rainbow bands on the jersey, just bring out that little bit extra when it counts, and that's exactly what Matthew Glaetzer did. He was put under pressure by Harry Laverson. He answered the best possible way and secured the victory. And with it, the gold medal. Harry Laverson will be a silver medalist, and the rider who takes the bronze medal in the men's sprint will be Jeffrey Hoogland. So we do have one more piece of action live to bring you here, which will be our victory ceremony a little bit later for the women's Keirin. We've got a little bit more highlight as well for you of action that took place earlier in these championships, in this World Cup. So here's our next highlights package for you, and we're going to focus on both the women's team pursuit and the women's team sprint, both of which took place here on day 1 of competition. So there is the lineup of Italy for the team pursuit. And their opponents will be Germany. Lisa Brenner, former winner of the Women's Tour of Britain on the road. Lisa Brenner, also a very strong track rider as well. And they are taking on Italy here. Italy posting the fastest qualification time. This is the battle for the bronze medal. Italy 4:20.035 and Germany 4:21.421 in the preceding round of this competition, which brought these riders into this bronze medal final. And you'll see a time split on your screen as they complete each of the 16 laps of the track. That gives us our 4K distance. Women's team pursuiting, which for quite a few years was only 3 riders and 12 laps of the track. It was brought to equality with the men's competition in recent years. Still curious if the women's team sprint has run off over 1 lap less than in the men's competition. I'm not sure that that discrepancy will last for too much longer either, with some of the incredible female sprint talent we've seen emerging over recent years. However, our focus at the moment is on the team pursuiters, and Italy with a small advantage ahead of Germany at the 2.5 kilometre mark, 1.10 seconds for the riders here. Well, the Italians already down to 3. The time, of course, is taken on the 3rd rider across the line, so you cannot afford to lose any more riders. Germany also issued their 4th rider as well, so 3 versus 3 here in the closing stages. Advantage to Italy now by a considerable margin, 2.066 for Italy ahead of Germany. It's looking as though Italy are going to be the bronze medalists in the women's team pursuit. For Letizia Paternoster, Elisa Balsamo, Marta Cavalli and Silvia Valsecchi take the bronze medal ahead of Germany. And we will move our attentions on to the gold and silver medal final. It's an all-Antipodean affair when Australia take on New Zealand. Australia will start in the home straight, the fastest in the qualification round of these two, 4:18.441 for Christina Clonan, Ashley Kudinov, Georgia Baker and Macy Stewart. And their opponents from New Zealand, Bryony Botha, Rushley Buchanan, Holly Edmondson and Kirsty James. The women's team pursuit gold medal final, Australia versus New Zealand. Well, Australia get away margin the faster. 0.2 of a second already in the bag for the Australians. But New Zealand answering back. Already reducing that deficit to 1.63. So I think this may be quite a closely contested one. The gap was just in the order of 2 seconds in the preceding rounds of the competition. Let's see if the Australians can retain the advantage they had. They beat Italy in the qualifications, and New Zealand beat Germany. We've seen both those teams recently in the bronze medal final where Italy came out on top. But at the moment, it is still pretty close here, still in favour of Australia. They've been ahead right from the start. New Zealand yet to put their noses ahead, 0.324. It's always been very, very close indeed. We're at the 3.5 kilometre mark here. So Australia looking as though they've got this one nailed, but it is still very much a possibility that New Zealand can hit back in the closing laps here. Just one lap to go now, and Australia 0.362. This will be very, very close indeed. And the New Zealand team still with their fourth rider, just distance off the back of the third rider across the line, who counts, of course. They'll try and get into a line all across the track to make sure there's no deficit to the third rider. The Australians achieve that, and they get there ahead of New Zealand. So it is gold for Australia in the women's team pursuit for Christina Clonan, Ashley Kudinov, Georgia Baker and Macy Stewart. The Australians are the women's team pursuit champions ahead of New Zealand. They take the silver medal, and Italy will get the bronze. There they are on the podium.
Acknowledge all your medalists.
Mesdames et messieurs, les médaillés.
We knew that if we were on schedule and we were going as fast as we could, we would go close. So, and then we raced them for the last half. But I think we were pretty in control of it and had a really smooth, good ride.
Well, a confident interview there from the Australians, but it really was very close on the line. Let's take you now to the women's team sprint finals. And as I mentioned in the intro to this little highlights package, the difference between the women's team sprint and the men's is there are only 2 women and therefore 2 laps of the track for the women's team sprint. So it's over pretty rapidly indeed. This is the bronze medal final between Elena Starykova and Lyubov Basova of the Ukraine, starting in the home straight. And their opponents are Emma Cumming and Natasha Hansen of New Zealand, starting in the back straight. The rider in the gate leading away from line for the Ukrainians is Elena Starykova. Big gap here between the New Zealanders. That allows no overlap between the riders. Let me change the way this team sprint has been ridden over the years. The rules have changed as well over the years this event has been in existence. So riders tending to favour leaving a gap in which they'll aim to take up the chase rather than overlapping as closely as they can their teammates. But it's all about the final lap and the speed of the riders compared to each other. And on this occasion, it is Ukraine who get the bronze medal ahead of New Zealand by 0.382 of a second. So Starykova and Basova of the Ukraine are the winners of the bronze medal in the women's team sprint here at the World Cup round 1. And we'll turn our attention to the battle for the gold and silver medals. European champions in this discipline start in the home straight. They are, on this occasion, riding for the team of Gazprom Razvelo, but they are from the Russian Federation. They are the European champions Daria Shmileva and Anastasia Voynova. Their opponents from Australia, Carly McCulloch and Stephanie Morton. This for the gold and silver in the women's team sprint. Away they go. You can see the absolute effort required, written all over the face of the riders as they depart from the start line. It is the first away away for Rusvelo is Daria Shmaleva. It's Voinova to ride the anchor lap for them, and for the Australians on the front is Carly McCulloch. She'll hand over to Stephanie Morton to complete the distance for the Australians. It is advantage for Gazprom Rusvelo by 0.314 of a second into the final lap. It is Voinova versus Morton for the gold medal as we come towards the line, just 0.096. This is going to be agonisingly close on the line, and at the end of that one, well, they just about tipped they. Whoa, it was very, very close indeed between Gazprom Rusvelo and the team of Australia. Well, the European champions were pushed to the absolute brink in that one by the Australian team. Our on-screen graphics showing the order was different, but it is the team here of Gazprom Rusvelo who are celebrating the victory, and there they are on the top step of the podium.
Please acknowledge all your medalists.
Mesdames et messieurs, les médaillés.
Second for Australia, third for the Ukraine. And the European champions add a World Cup gold medal to their impressive tally of victories. So, live medal ceremony up and coming for you now for the women's Keirin.
Will be presented by a member of the UCI management committee.
It was a very highly contested Keirin, of course, tragically striking for the world champion in that deciding heat. And again, we wish her the best for a good recovery. She was scratched away at the end of that one, but the three riders who battle for victory, here they are to receive their medals. YG Lee, sprint champion yesterday, now the bronze medalist for the women's Keirin. She has one of the broadest smiles you will see, and a very, very competitive rider. Very friendly as well, always has a good word to tell us when we interview them at the end, and she'll be pleased to get another medal here at these first attempt at medals at the World Cup 2018-2019, proudly displaying that bronze medal, taking second place in that one. Well, we saw her take the gold medal in our highlights of the women's team sprint just a few moments ago, but she got the silver in the Keirin, riding for the Gazprom Rusvelo team from the Russian Federation. The silver medalist is Daria Shmaleva, and she will receive her silver medal from a member of the UCI management committee.
Tissot UCI cycling world
pleased with that one as well. But the rider who has got the most to celebrate, taking the first women's team sprint victory of this season's World Cup campaign. For the Netherlands, riding for the beat cycling team, is Lorien van Riesen. Well, it was close between these three as disaster unfolded behind them for Dick Grandella. But Lorien van Riesen gets the best prize of them all, the gold medal, arms held aloft, and prize applause as well from the defeated silver and bronze medalists. A great women's Keirin competition won by Lorien van Riesen of the Beat Cycling Club from the Netherlands. They will receive the commemorative mascot of this World Cup as well. Second one for YG Lee, having taken one yesterday. So too for Daria Shmaleva. First for Lorien van Riesen. There they go, your medalists at the end of the competition here at this UCI Track Cycling World Cup. They all come together on the top step of the podium for the obligatory shot. And deserved win for Van Riesen, but pressed right to the line by second place Daria Shmaleva and third place YG Lee. So they will make their way to the obligatory photos and interviews that follow every victory on the track. And we will be bringing you very shortly the men's sprint victory ceremony as well. So that conclusion of that competition quite recently. But from our live coverage here, it's time for us to bid you farewell from the Velodrome National here in of Saint-Quentin-de-Yvelines. Let's hope you can join us again next week in Milton and Canada when the World Cup continues.
The bronze medal representing Netherlands.
Médaille de bronze pour les Pays-Bas avec Jeffrey Hoogland.